Yes.
So while she was away for that 1 week,
Yes.
her car was stolen.
Yes.
This is Judy Justice. Erin Dean is suing her ex-husband, Dennis Dean, for an unpaid car loan and negligence.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3122, Dean versus Dean.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Dean, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for a car that was stolen as a result of his negligence.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's start with, you and Mr. Dean were married for the first time in what month and year?
July of 2013.
You and Mr. Dean were then divorced.
That is correct, Your Honor.
In what year?
December 12th, 2019.
You and Mr. Dean were remarried.
This is correct.
What month and year?
October 1st, 2022.
And you separated again, and that marriage was annulled in what year?
August in 2023.
Now, you purchased a car.
Correct.
In what month and year?
October of 2019.
While you were married.
We were separated at the time. We were not living together.
But you were married.
Correct.
So this automobile was purchased during the course of your first marriage.
That is correct.
Do you have a copy of your divorce decree?
Yes, I do.
And does that divorce decree award you the automobile?
Yes, Your Honor, it does.
I'd like to take a look at it. So you were awarded in the divorce the Jeep Cherokee.
Correct, that is correct.
And then you remarried October of 2022.
That's correct, Your Honor.
The Jeep Cherokee, which is the subject of this case, was stolen on what date?
From what Dennis told me, he realized the car was stolen on December 19th, 2022.
While you were still married.
Correct.
Now, you were remarried in October of 2022.
Yes.
And where did you live?
In Pasadena.
What address?
780.
And you both lived there together?
Yes.
Had you lived there before, during your first marriage?
No.
Had you lived there while you were separated?
Yes.
When you remarried and you were living at 780, was the plaintiff living with you?
Yes.
So she moved into your residence?
Yes.
So far, is that correct, Ms. Dean?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you had no other residence?
No.
So you moved into 780?
That's correct.
Mr. Dean, until what date did Miss Dean live at 780, month and year?
January of 2023.
That is false, Your Honor.
Justice,
Okay.
I'm not asking you anything.
Okay.
January of 2023. What happened in January of 2023, sir?
She moved back east,
East to where?
North Carolina, while we were still married.
Okay. The car was stolen in December.
Yes. December 14th.
December 14th, so several weeks before she left.
Yes.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding the car being stolen. First, she was going back east.
Yes.
And she asked you to take her to the airport?
Yes.
Just a second. Did you drive her to the airport?
Yes, I did.
On what date?
It was a week prior to the car being stolen, which was December 7th, 6th or 7th. She asked me to take her to the airport.
Mr. Dean, when you took her to the airport, what car did you take her with?
In the Jeep Cherokee.
Did you have another car?
Yes, I did.
Why did you take the Cherokee?
Because it was big enough to put all her luggage in.
So she asked you to...
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you left for the airport, where had Mrs. Dean spent the night before?
At our residence.
At your residence,
Yes.
together?
Yes.
And what was the reason that she was going back east?
To visit her friend in Houston.
Before she went to visit her friend, and you were living together as a married couple.
Yes.
Had she given you, or did you have any indication that she was leaving you?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We had prior disagreements as far as where we wanted to live. She wanted me to move back east. She wanted to have another child, which I didn't feel comfortable with.
Did you have a child together?
No.
Who has children?
We both do.
From prior relationships?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you had been arguing.
Yes, it was.
Just-
Oh, okay.
You had been arguing. The night before she left, you were still sharing the same residence.
Yes.
So you took her to the airport in her Jeep.
Yes.
At her request, because it fit all the luggage. And then after you took her to the airport, what did you do with the Jeep?
I parked the Jeep in a gated parking in my residence
How long was she away?
about a week.
When she was coming home, who picked her up at the airport?
I was supposed to.
And did you pick her up at the airport?
No, I did not, because she says that she wasn't coming back because I had told her about her car being stolen. And then I told her that once I found out that it was stolen, I got a police report done.
So while she was away for that 1 week,
Yes.
her car was stolen.
Yes.
And it was stolen from where?
Under the gated parking of my residence.
It was in the gated parking?
Yes.
Okay, do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
Here it is. Police report.
Okay, so the car was stolen.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Now I got the dates and I got everything. And the car was stolen and?
Car was stolen due to his negligence.
No, you say negligence. The car was stolen out of a gated area. First of all, even if it was stolen as a result of his negligence, you don't get your money.
Dean claims her ex-husband, Dennis Dean, is responsible for car payments after the vehicle was stolen due to his negligence.
Let me ask you this question. I'm going to maybe phrase it differently. My husband is trying to be helpful, and there's a leak in the faucet in our kitchen that has just been redone. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I have to call somebody to fix this little leak. It's dripping, and I don't want it to get any worse. And my husband said, you don't have to call anybody. I have my toolkit right here. I'm going to fix it. He's a lawyer. He doesn't know about plumbing. But he goes under the sink and he jiggles and jaggles and turns things, and there's a flood. And it not only floods out the kitchen, but it floods the apartment below. And I say, get out. I don't want to know you anymore. You're always doing things like this. You think my husband's responsible if the house is in my name? Get out of here.
Can I explain my situation and what happened, Your Honor, please?
You can. So now you have about 2 minutes to tell me your theory of the case.
When he did take me to the place, I did tell
Not
him,
the place, to the airport.
to the airport. I did tell him not to move my vehicle, not to drive my vehicle. He moved my vehicle because he has an unregistered vehicle that is in the previous divorce decree. And he uses that vehicle. He switches out his Infinity plates to drive that vehicle to and from work.
But
I
that's
told
the
him
rel-
I told him not to move my vehicle because I know he likes to move that car. So he told the police officers who rides back and forth the street doesn't
That's
see
not
it.
true.
And when he moved my vehicle, he left the keys inside my car. My car cannot start without a push start. So he took out the garage opener, and the reason why is because they were doing maintenance work at his apartment complex at the time where the gate was left open overnight. That's how my car got stolen, because the lady who did take my car, she had access to easily get inside of it, and the keys were inside my vehicle to where she was able to steal it.
Think about my husband, who I'm fighting with all the time, fixing the sink and causing a flood in an apartment or a house that is mine. I can't sue him. But it sounds to me, from what you tell me, that you knew he had been playing around with license plates while you were still together. That's what you just told me. That's what he does.
No, that's not true.
Shh. Listen to me, sir. It may not be true, but that's what you just told me.
It's in text messages, so
That's
it's true.
That's what you just told me.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. You have no case against him. It's unfortunate that your car was stolen and it was found, I understand.
Yes,
but
it
was
was.
found
Totaled.
Total, yeah.
Well, that's not his fault. Case is dismissed. We're done.
Thank
This
you.
court is adjourned.
I told him not to drive it, not to move my car, because I know that's what he did. He did it anyways. My car got stolen.
I didn't leave the key in the car. Actually, I had put it in my bag and took it upstairs, but she just went with that because that's all she had on.
I just hope that I never have to see him again.
I just want peace and just to be left alone and get back to my regular life.
Can you imagine how the courts would be flooded with lawsuits if married people could sue each other for negligence?
Be more backed up than it is right now?
Oh, it would put a complete stop to the justice system.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't even think that in this case he was negligent. I mean, there was debate as to whether or not he left the keys in the car. That can be viewed as a little bit negligent.
But they were a married couple who cohabited together until a couple of days before the car was stolen. And the place where he lived, evidently, which was under construction, somebody left the gate open. Well, that's the person who she ought to sue for leaving the gate open, which allowed her car to be stolen.
Sure.
Not her husband.
Agreed.
Ridiculous.
I was coming from being chased.
There was no speeding car following you. They should have been right behind you.
I turned, and I guess maybe they kept going straight.
I guess not.
This is Judy Justice. Andre Skates is suing motorist Melissa LaChapelle for vehicle and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3132, Skates versus LaChapelle.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. LaChapelle, I'm going to start with you because this case is relatively simple. You hit his parked car and moved it from the street where it was by virtue of the force of the hit onto somebody else's lawn.
Yes, ma'am.
And the date that you did that was May 1st of last year. What time of the day?
I believe it was in the afternoon.
What do you mean you believe it was in the afternoon? How many times have you hit a parked car?
My first.
Well, then I would know what time it was. Approximately what time was it on May 1st?
Around 2, 3 o'clock.
In the afternoon.
Yes.
Where were you coming from?
I was coming from being chased.
Where were you coming from?
Prior to the accident, I was just sitting in a parked car. So I was driving, and I had a conference call come in, so I just pulled over so I don't
You
drive
pulled over
far.
randomly. And parked where?
On Florence and Western.
How far is that from where you hit his parked car?
Maybe about a couple of miles.
Did it take you 5 minutes to get there? 10 minutes to get there? How long were you traveling?
15 minutes.
So you were driving for 15 minutes from the time your car was parked until you got to where you hit his car?
Yes, ma'am.
And what kind of car were you driving?
A Dodge Journey.
Was it your car?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it totaled as a result of this accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you're going to tell me the story that you're going to tell me about the circumstances surrounding your hitting his parked car.
Well, on September 16th of 2022, I had a hair appointment. I showed up at my hairdresser, and there was no show, no call. So moving forward, I set an appointment with another young lady in the salon, and I got my hair done. And so when I reached to make the payment to pay her, I came across being scammed. So I explained to
Came across being?
scammed, like someone hacked my bank account for the funds.
Okay, and you have proof of that from your bank?
No, I do not have
So,
that.
so the
My
answer
bank
is,
account.
just a second. So the answer is you do not have any proof as to the beginning of this story?
No,
Okay.
I have no proof of the bank account being hacked.
Well, but you showed the hairdresser, according to you, that your bank account had been hacked, that's why you couldn't pay her.
Correct.
Well, I'm just asking you for proof of that.
No, I don't have it on me.
So you don't have it?
No.
Well, that's easy enough to get. Your bank account was hacked. We're not talking about 30 years ago. We're talking about a year and a half ago. So you would have had that if the story you're giving me is true. What's the name of the hairdresser? Have you ever used her since?
No, never.
No. What was the name of the hairdresser that you had an appointment with that you didn't see that day? Have you seen her since?
Not since the incident of wrecking his car. I seen her on that day.
So you haven't seen either the person you were supposed to see or the person you stiffed in September of 2022,
No.
right? And then, allegedly, on the day of this incident, you saw one of them?
Yes.
Yes, as you were sitting in a parked car where you had randomly pulled over to make a conference call. I'm just following the story. And then what you said in your answer was these people started to chase you.
They started to vandalize and attack me in my car first.
So you took off.
Yes.
Now, you had been on a conference call. Did you stop the conference call?
I just
Just a second.
dropped the phone.
The answer is you stopped the conference call.
Yes.
But you still had your phone.
Yes.
And somebody was chasing you, according to you, for 15 minutes in your car where you were with your phone. Just want to know that.
Yes, ma'am.
Someone was chasing you.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a lot of baloney. Okay, so you hit his parked car. And this was a 1981 Oldsmobile Cutlass, is that right?
Yes.
That you had been working on, restoring. Now, when had you purchased it?
I purchased it in, when did I purchase that? It was
Just a second, the questions get harder. When had you purchased it? A month before, a week before, a year before?
2.5 years ago.
When you purchased the car, who did you purchase it from?
I don't have his last name, but I have it in my phone. But his name was Jose, and he was from San Diego, and that's where I purchased it from.
And how much did you pay him for the car?
I paid him $10,000 for it.
And you also have proof of that?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Well, I don't have proof of it. I don't think I brought the bill of sale with me, though. That sucks. I know you needed that. Do I got the bill of sale? No, I don't have the bill of sale. Hold on. Let me see. It's in my phone from that date. Where'd it go?
Yes or no, sir? That's a very easy thing. Don't waste my time here if you don't have a bill of sale in your phone.
I don't have it in my phone. But
Okay, very good. And you don't have it there. Okay.
Andre Skates claims motorist Melissa LaChapelle owes for damages after Melissa struck his classic Oldsmobile Cutlass. Melissa says she was fleeing from a dangerous situation.
Now, you say that you were notified that your car was hit. You were either on your way to or from work. What kind of work do you do?
Security.
And you left your house. I assume it's a private house. Do you rent or do you own?
I rent
How much do you pay in rent?
$1,000
To whom?
to the landlord.
How do you pay him?
I pay him through Cash App.
And you were driving to work. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of car do you have?
2008 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT.
Do you have a note on the car or do you owe it free and clear?
Yes, I do have a note on it.
And you pay for your car payment from a bank account, right?
Yes.
I'd like to see your bank account where you paid $10,000 for this car.
Oh, you'd like to see it? Oh.
Oh, yeah, I want to see that. Because I assume if I said, could I see a check for the $10,000, you don't have a check.
No, because I
No,
pay cash.
just a second. Well, you don't carry $10,000 in cash because you can transfer the cash just like you do for your landlord.
Yes,
right?
yes. And you don't want to carry
for
that
your
amount.
car payment. So that's the way your generation, not mine, but your generation pay things. They walk over to a machine and they go like this with their phone, and it's paid. So you pay your other bills that way, sir. So you don't walk around with cash. I want to see where you had $10,000 in the bank 2 years ago.
I know you're going to ask me that. Okay.
You want to see a photo?
Yeah. Okay, Audubon Classics. So tell me how much this is. Oldsmobile Cutlass. Okay.
So they range. There's some that are very expensive, like $28,000 that I've seen that are fully restored. And then there are some, like this one was $22,000. But then there's
This
some,
is the 81, yeah.
Yeah, but then there are some that were not restored that I saw for about $8,000 or $9,000.
Not restored.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Wiley's, look, you have a copy of the police report?
No, we didn't have a police report because no one was injured.
That's not why you don't have a police report on that kind of an accident. Could have killed somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Skates, let's go. Do you have it or do you not have it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have it. It was 2 years ago, so I got to go all the way back.
Well, you should have had it with you. You're suing her for $10,000. So all I want to see is how much you paid for the car. You say you paid $10,000.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have a bill of sale. I just want to see where you had $10,000 in the bank and then it was paid out to Jose. You do understand, Mr. Skates, that that would be on you. You have a whole bunch of papers there. You do not have a bill of sale on the car. You don't have any proof of what you paid for the car except your word that you paid $10,000 for it. It's very easy to go back and get those records. We're not talking about 30 years ago.
God, no.
I know. You got a whole lot of papers there that are irrelevant. And your insurance company, according to you, valued the car at $3,500 and paid you because you did have insurance on it.
Yes.
So all I want to see is what you paid for it.
No, I'm trying to.
Just a second. You have a video of this accident?
Yeah, I do.
Keep looking.
Okay. All right.
Do you have a video of this accident?
Yes, I do.
Play it. I want to see what the car looked like. Play it one more time. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. I'm just looking, by the way, Miss LaChapelle, for the people who are chasing you. Because now you hit the car, they should have been right behind you. They were chasing you, right? I'm looking at this, and now you're all slowed down because you fit a car. I don't see one car pass by there. Not a one.
Correct.
Yes, correct. Of course, it's correct.
I turned, and I guess maybe they kept going straight. And then that's when I had the accident.
I guess not. Okay. Mr. Skates, I want to tell you, your exercise in exploring your phone to find proof that you paid $10,000 for this car is going nowhere. Got it?
Yes.
Now, you insured the car, correct? This old car, because it was going to have value once you restored it.
Yes.
Now, restored, the average price is about $10,000. That's what Sarah tells me, correct?
It ranges, but I could find a couple if you want.
No, it ranges 9, 10, 11. It can go anywhere around that amount, but that's fully restored, right?
Well, restored means like when that's mint condition. Like, 'cause when it's in mint condition, that's how much it would go for, like 9 or 10,000. But the features that were on the car were extra couple little features that people like on those cars, which is the stick in the floor and the T-top features that are on there that people
I have
like.
no idea, sir. Show me what the car looked like before she hit it.
There we go, right here. This is the one with the rims. Here goes one. Where's the other one at?
Oh, that's good looking. Now, when you bought the car, sir, was it running? Were you able to drive it back from Jose's?
No, I had to get it towed.
So when you bought it, it was not running.
No.
So you didn't pay $10,000 for it.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I don't believe that, sir. There's one car available for sale that's a 1981 Oldsmobile Cutlass that's drivable, that's $5,100, not fully restored. That's today.
That's why I was saying the features that it has on
I don't care about the features. You bought a non-running car that had to be restored to running so that you could resell it. You hoped for a profit, but there's no way you spent $10,000 on the car, because then if you were putting in all new parts and restoring it, you would never be able to recoup your money.
Yes, you can.
No.
Can I explain? Because I put a lot of money into it, and the resale value once.
Just a second.
Okay.
So far, I don't believe that you paid $10,000 for it, not running. Now you're going to show me what you put into the car.
Okay.
You see, if you told me the truth, sir, and if the insurance company only paid you $3,500, I would have paid you what the value of a non-running car would be, plus everything that you put into it, less the $3,500 that the insurance company paid you for it. So if you have everything that you put into it, the only thing you don't have is what you paid for it. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct on that part.
Okay, so now let me see what you put into it.
Oh.
Trace Gates has accused motorist Melissa LaChapelle of crashing into his classic Oldsmobile Cutlass. Melissa claims she was being chased by another vehicle.
Now, all of your receipts for the car parts that you purchased total $9,393. Less the $3,500 that you were paid by your insurance leaves just for the parts alone $5,893. Even if you paid $5,000 for the car, you're at $10,000. Do you understand?
Yes.
So if you would given me a figure that I understood, because right now you want me to believe that a man who works very hard in security paid $10,000 for the car and $10,000 for parts.
Yes.
And the average range for the car is
Between 9 and 18.
between 9 and 18,000.
Yes.
To buy a restored car, and you've already put in $20,000 in the car before you sold it. And I don't even know if it was ready to be sold. Do you understand?
That's how much I was going to sell it for. It was like $20,000. That's what I was trying to explain.
Just so I understand that. You've already, if you want me to believe, sir, that you bought the car for 10, you're already at 20. So even if you sold the car for its highest price, which is 20, you'd be breaking even. That's not what you bought it for.
Well, no.
You bought it to make money.
No, I bought it
Okay.
to keep it actually because it was a sentimental
What?
value. I said I bought it to keep it because this was something that I wanted to have for a while because this was something that was kind of sentimental to me because we all used to ride these cars when I was younger, so it was something that I kind of enjoyed and liked, and I wanted to keep it. I wasn't planning on selling it right away once I finished.
How old are you?
44.
So what you're telling me is you remember driving around in this car when you were 2 years old.
No, in my 20s.
You know, I want to introduce you both to the truth. Hello, how are you? I understand who you are. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Skates, you're owed some money from her, even though you've inflated some figures. She owes you some money. Do you have any reports from the police on this?
I have the vehicle incident report.
I'd like to see it, please. Can I see just the proof from your insurance company, please, of what they paid you out on the car? And her insurance paid you, is that right?
No.
Was your insurance?
Oh, you said my insurance? Yeah, my insurance paid me, not her.
Why didn't you? Hey,
Her insurance paid me. Mm-mm.
put your phone down.
Oh, I have it on my email. Or
Why didn't your insurance pay him out?
I didn't have insurance. I was switching my insurance policy to a new company.
Oh,
And I got
so
into
just
an
a second.
accident.
So when there was a traffic report, you told the police you had AAA insurance, because that's what's in the report.
No, they asked me for my information, and that's what I told them.
Well,
But
I said that's what you told them. You told them that you had insurance and AAA was your insurance company.
Well,
and that's a lie.
the paperwork
Just a
that I
second.
had.
That's a lie. You told them that you had insurance and you didn't have insurance and there was no speeding car following you.
I did not tell them I had insurance. I told them the truth, that the same thing I told you.
No, you didn't, because then they would have given you a summons for driving your car without insurance if you created the kind of an accident. Did they give you a summons? No.
No.
Okay. Some piece of work. So your policy limit was $3,500.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. Where is the car now?
The car?
It's not an answer. Where is the car now?
In front of my yard.
Okay, so you have it.
Yes.
And this incident took place on May the 1st.
Yes.
Why is it still at your house?
Because I plan on getting another one and rebuilding it.
So you plan on using it?
Well, I plan on using it for parts because I can't do anything else with it.
Or you plan on using it for parts, whatever it is. Do you have a photograph of it?
Yes, I
now,
do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
There's a couple more.
Oh, gee whiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way you can use this car. Why don't you just scrap it?
Well, because I was planning on, if I took her to court and wanted some money, I was going to try to buy another one, rebuild it, use some of the parts off of that one, and try to get my car back, you know? That's just, I mean, it's a big loss for me. But, I mean, what am I going to do? I mean, that's all, only way I can see I can get back, you know?
Okay. Valuing the car at $10,000, which is $9,000 for what you put into the car. I have no idea what you paid for it. You got $3,500. I'm awarding you a judgment, sir, of $6,500 against the defendant. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $6,500. We're finished here. I would have taken your license away.
This court is adjourned.
Because I was running from someone chasing me for my life. It was self-defense.
That she was being chased by some girls, that they stole some hair or something like that. And I was like, well, where are they? We didn't see anybody there. If they were chasing you, why didn't they stop and come and get you? Why didn't you crash? Because that was their time to get you if they were going to get you.
Because the person was not turned down the street as me, so it is what it is.
But then she mentioned it to the judge, but didn't mention it to the police. And she said it to me because I was wondering why you were going so fast down a narrow street with a bump on it. And that's what she said, that some girls were chasing her over some hair.
I am still driving, but not that vehicle. It's totaled.
It's time to get a new one.
You know, common sense is a great indicator of truth. And I think that if the defendant's story was true, that she was being chased and harassed by these two hairdressers, you have your phone in your car. You laid it out perfectly. That you make a quick 911. You call them and you say, oh my God, these crazy people are chasing me. or none of it ever happened.
Or when you finally cause an accident like that and your car is severely damaged, and there's nobody chasing you.
Yeah.
You stop to wait for the police, and when the police finally come, because she was looking to boot out of there, you say, these women were chasing me. I know who they were.
Yeah.
You would create a police report.
Yep.
Just a whole lot of who shot John. It's unbelievable to me that people can make up interesting stories. In 2022, she had one hairdresser appointment. She had
Very
another-
intricate.
Very, very intricate. Nobody has any proof.
Yeah. They never do.
Sometimes they do, but not in fishtails like this. So you moved in with your aunt and uncle,
I was told that I was using them.
and it was a heated argument.
I had to contact the police to get my things.
That is not true.
I lost my dad, so I never really got to have a connection with them. So this was an opportunity to really be a part of their life.
This is Judy Justice. Kaylee Kowaleski is suing her aunt, Brenda LaFountain, for personal belongings after moving out of Brenda's house.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 3024, Lukoski versus Fountain.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You were in the military?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you get out of the military?
December 14th, ma'am.
December 14th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
At that time, you had no job, you had no place to live, and the defendant is your aunt.
Yes, ma'am.
I assume you called her and asked her if you could live with her?
No, ma'am. My mom refused to pick me up from the Appleton airport.
And?
My aunt, Brenda, was the only option at the time.
Just
that
a second.
my
My question to you is, she would have to know that you needed a place to live. The question is designed to elicit an answer. Did you call her or did she call you?
I called my mom, and my mother called my Aunt Kelly, which is Brenda's sister, and worked it out with Brenda that I would stay with her.
I didn't ask you about staying with. When did you first have a conversation with your aunt?
The day she picked me up from the airport.
What date?
December 15th.
She picked you up from the airport. Had you had any conversation with her prior to her getting to the airport? How you would be arriving, what time, where to pick you up, where you would meet? Did you have any conversation either by text or on the phone?
No, ma'am, I did not have a cell phone.
So you had no conversation with her?
No, ma'am.
Okay. December 15th, she picked you up, got into the car, and?
We went back to her house with my Aunt Kelly and Brenda, and I moved there.
Well, tell me how that happened. You're a big girl. Tell me how that happened.
Yes, ma'am. I got back from the airport. They picked me up. We went back to her house. We figured everything out.
Not figured everything out. Not figured everything out. You said to her, she said to you, somebody said, you don't have a place to live. Could I live with you? I want to hear that.
Yes, ma'am. They said I could stay
Not they.
rent-free.
Not they.
Brenda said I could stay rent-free.
Well, how'd she know you didn't have a place to live? Did you tell her you had no money and no place to live?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, well, that's what I want to know.
Yes, ma'am.
When did that conversation take place?
The night after picking me up at the airport on December 15th.
So where did you sleep that night?
At Brenda's house.
Okay. And had you ever lived with your aunt before?
No, ma'am.
So you moved in with your aunt and uncle, and they agreed that you could stay there until you got on your feet.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, there's nothing wrong with you, right?
No, ma'am.
What city and state do you live in?
I live in New Holstein, Wisconsin.
Okay. And so you moved in December. Lots of temporary jobs around Christmas. Did you get a job?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing?
I was putting together molds for birdseed.
How much were you paid?
I was paid around $17 an hour.
How long did that job last?
2 months, ma'am.
From January to February?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay any expenses to your aunt and uncle while you were working in January and February?
No, ma'am.
What date did you move out?
March 20th, ma'am.
Where were you working in March?
I was a guest service member. I would tend to customers as in like a cashier and
how much were you making there?
$16.50, ma'am.
How much money did you put away during this period of time, January, February, and March, where you were working and not paying any rent?
I had about $500 in my bank. I did get in a really bad car accident, and in that time period, so...
Which time period?
I got into a car accident in late February.
Whose car?
My car.
When did you buy a car?
This was before boot camp, ma'am.
So you had a car. You had to get the car from someplace. Where did you leave the car when you went into the armed services?
Stevens Point, Wisconsin, where I was born.
At whose house?
My friend that I was staying with before boot camp.
So you were in a car accident sometime in February.
Yes, ma'am.
And so no payments to your aunt in January, February, or March. And tell me about when they asked you to leave.
It was an argument. I calmly sat down and I was told that I was, quote unquote, a burden and using them. And it was a very heated argument on that I do nothing around the house while, I was living there. And I refused to put up with that because I did do a fair share amount while they were using my information to get heat assistance and food stamps. And so it's not like I didn't provide them any help. They had help through the state.
Well, that's not you helping them.
No, ma'am.
Right. That has nothing to do with you. So you left.
Yes.
And it was a heated argument. And that argument took place on what date?
That argument took place, if I remember correctly, on March 18th.
And you left March 20th.
Yes, ma'am.
So on March 20th, you decided to leave.
Yes.
Great. And you packed all your stuff.
No, ma'am.
Well, you should have, because that's what this case is about. You should have. If you decided to leave on March 18th after living with your aunt and uncle on their dime for 3 months, and you decided to leave after a heated argument, according to you, on March 18th, you should have packed all your underwear and left, not leave a few things with tags on it.
Yes, ma'am.
You should say to your aunt and your uncle, thank you very much for taking care of me for 3 months, not sue them.
I never got to really know my aunt that much, so I wanted to have space after the argument to try to, decompress because I don't do well with
What do you mean?
confrontation.
Just a second. What do you mean you don't know your aunt too well?
I lost my dad, so I never really got to have a connection with them. I lived in Stevens Point with my mom, and so this was an opportunity to really live with my aunt and be a part of their life.
Okay, I'm not going to get into your history because I see that you're getting too emotional. That's not going to happen. What I'm suggesting to you is, especially if it's someone that you don't have a connection with, who did you a kindness and it unfortunately didn't work out. Your response to that is not suing them for some alleged underwear that you left behind when you had time to pack all your stuff. Did you still have a car or was it totaled in the February accident?
I did not have a car anymore.
Okay, so who picked you up from your aunt and uncle's house?
My best friend, Emily, did.
Okay.
It was March 18th. I slept over for 2 days and made the final decision to move out on the 20th. I have the text messages here.
So you slept at your friend's house March 18th and March 19th.
Yes, ma'am.
And you brought clothes with you.
Yes, ma'am, a week's worth.
And March 20th, you decided to move out completely.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. And you went back to the house?
Yes, and all the doors were locked.
That is not true.
Shh. Did you ultimately go into the house?
No, ma'am.
You never went back into the house after March 18th?
No, ma'am.
Well, then what did you go there for on March 20th?
I had to contact the police to get my things, which they packed up. They refused to let me in the house. And then I went back into the house March 20th to pick up my belongings that were set outside.
Okay, well, that's fine. You took the important stuff with you because you were going for a week, so anything valuable you took with you. Okay, let's get to your counterclaim. Your counterclaim is you claim that your niece damaged the house while she was living there.
Yes, Your Honor.
Show me. Show me.
I have many pictures and an estimate for the damages of the...
You sure about this? You sure about you want me to see this?
Yes, please.
Okay, good.
Kaylee Kovleski claims her aunt, Brenda LaFountain, is wrongfully keeping her belongings. Brenda is countersuing Kaylee for property damage.
Okay, what I see here is a mess. I don't know what this is. What is this?
That is a burn from a candle on top of a new dresser.
Of a dresser.
Nightstand.
I assume this is you showing me that she left a bowl of food on here.
Yes, ma'am.
But, okay, not nice, but I'm getting to know it. I'm getting to understand it. And this? I mean, was that the same day? Was that March 18th? Was it March 20th? Or did you go?
March 20th, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I finally moved into where I'm staying. Everything is unpacked, and I realized that I'm missing over 40 Victoria's Secret pennies. What is that?
Underwear, Your Honor.
Pennies?
Panties.
And that I don't have 90% of my regular underwear, so I will be over tomorrow to grab those.
Yes.
That was on April 9th.
I have the text messages before that.
I don't care about the text messages before that. You moved out on March 20th, and you're sending her something on April 9th that you finally unpacked and you realize you're missing underwear.
Yes, because they packed up my stuff on March 20th, Your Honor.
Yeah,
and
this was April 9th.
I realized that I was missing my stuff.
On when? On
March
April 9th.
When I finally had the opportunity to go through my things fully.
Okay, well, I'm sorry about that. Okay, the only thing I want to show you, aside from the mess and the food mess, the only picture that I want to show you is this, and I want you to tell me how this happened.
Your Honor, did you get to the closet?
Yeah, I don't care about the closets. I want you to tell me how that happened.
So this is a rabbit hide, Your Honor. It's a real rabbit hide.
Not the rabbit hide. I'm not talking about the rabbit hide. I'm talking about what happened under the rabbit hide.
Applied to it, so the bottom of the hide, that's what it is.
How did that happen?
You have a wax melter for scent that they gave to me.
So you burned something on that, it got too hot, and the bottom of whatever that skin is.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that was you.
Yes, ma'am.
How much is it going to cost to refinish the top of that? Do you have an estimate for that?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, that's too bad. Your claim is dismissed. You should say thank you to your aunt and uncle, and you left the house pretty messy when you left there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're done.
This court is adjourned.
It is what it is.
She did notice that Kaylee's room was a disastrous mess.
I was given a place to stay by my aunt, and that was nice of her, but she's just not a good person.
She was an entitled brat, and we were not going to play into that.
I'm just ready to move forward. Yeah.
I wish her the best in her endeavors.
I knew there had to be more to the story there when the plaintiff said, first, right off the bat, that her mother refused to pick her up from boot camp. That sounds unusual to someone who hears it, so I knew there had to be more there, but I felt bad for this aunt and uncle. It seemed like they were, again, no good deed goes unpunished. They took her in, and they had a kerfuffle, as you would say. You know, they didn't get along. She was a little messy.
Not a little messy.
She didn't learn that at boot camp, but they didn't mesh well, and maybe it wasn't the relationship the plaintiff was hoping that she would find or uncover, in her new family.
Sounds to me as if she took advantage of them. The condition of that room.
I didn't see all the photos that you saw. I saw portions of them, but
the condition of that room was deplorable, really deplorable. And food in there, and old food, dried up food, and this is their home.
I'd have to be very comfortable with my closest aunt and uncle to even eat in the bedroom. So I agree with that point.
I don't even allow Poppy to eat in the bedroom.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they did something that they thought was good, and it turned out to be really bad.
Yeah.
And shouldn't discourage people from wanting to help them. But gratitude is a good word. Yeah. Suing is not. They're complaining that they got some T-shirts, but you didn't send them half of the ones that they ordered.
There were a lot of changing designs that took up our time, that took up our money, that we didn't charge him for. That is not our fault. We don't make the design. I don't know if that makes sense.
That sounds like a yada, yada, yada.
This is Judy Justice. Bailiff Cassandra Britt is standing in for Bailiff Kevin Roscoe, and Law Clerk Alexi Mincer is sitting in for Law Clerk Sarah Rose. Isaiah Kamchan and Brandon Uloa are suing their former supplier, Manuel Garcia, for the cost of a T-shirt order.
Order in the court. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 3072, Kamchan Ulola versus Garcia.
Thank you. Who is Mr. Kamchan? You were starting up a business, T-shirt business.
Correct.
The defendant was also in business. He makes shirts. I assume you were having them made to sell them either online or at events.
Correct.
You don't have a store, is that right?
Online store.
Online. What's the name of your company?
Risen Athletics.
Reason?
Risen.
Risen. Spell
Risen. RIZIN space athletics.
And where are they incorporated?
Ceres, California.
In the state of California?
In the state of California.
And it's a corporation. You have a license. You've incorporated it.
Correct.
Here.
There's a website, about 9 items of clothing.
May I see it, please? Sure. Make it go. Could you go back to, okay, I just want to see where they order them from. Great. And what's the name of your company, sir?
MFP Studios.
MFP Studios.
Correct.
Where are you located?
Los Angeles.
How long have you been in business, Mr. Kamchan?
About a year and a half.
Did you make any money the first year you were in business?
Yes.
How much?
Approximately 10,000, a little over.
Nice. In that first year, did you get any merchandise from Mr. Garcia?
We did.
So you made some money from the merchandise?
Not from his clothing, actually.
Not from his. What other company do you deal with?
We did wholesaling through Champion, the website.
Champion is a wholesaler? I thought they were a retailer.
So they have a website where you can wholesale and buy a bunch of garments that they allow you to reprint on and sell. So that's what we did originally.
I found an Instagram page for MFP Studios. The website is coming soon.
I have the website currently closed right now.
Currently closed.
Yeah.
You what?
Yeah, our website opens and closes like periodically. So right now it's actually closed. But if you would like, I can go and open it for you guys so you guys can take a look at it.
I want to know why it closes, Mr. Garcia. What does that mean?
So usually the way that my company works is that we do custom manufacturing for specific brands. So it's very customized. But at times I do produce blanks on my own where I'll put on my website. Currently we don't have any, so my website is closed until we produce them and then we post them on our website. I don't know if that makes sense.
Doesn't make sense. How much money did the plaintiffs send you to produce T-shirts for them? How much money
for the T-shirts?
How much money did the plaintiffs send you to produce T-shirts for them? And I'd like to see the order.
Okay.
Can I
So
see all the
these
papers?
would be the invoices for the T-shirts.
Thank you. Did they pay all of these invoices?
Yes.
Lex, would you add up these invoices for me, please? How many T-shirts were they supposed to have?
Total should have been approximately 320.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
How many did they receive? That's what this case is about.
Correct. They should have received at least 180.
So about half.
Correct.
It's not true.
Just a second.
Okay.
And you got paid.
Correct.
Well, at least for that number of shirts, they get their money back, right? Duh. For the number of T-shirts that you didn't send them, they get their money back.
Well, there was a couple other things that were taking into place, so that's
Like
kind of
what?
the issue. So there was a lot of changes that were being made.
Hold on a second. Lexi.
7996.
7996 is the total of all those invoices. Great. All I'm saying to you, Mr. Garcia, this is the case that we hear about. They're complaining that they got some T-shirts, but they were not what they ordered. You acknowledge that they didn't get half the T-shirts at all, and you didn't make them, and your website is now offline.
Well, that happens like every...
I don't care.
Yeah, okay.
I don't care. I don't know any other company that takes their website offline. I mean, I don't understand that.
I could give you a list of a couple.
I don't want you to give me a list of any. I want you to tell me why they're not entitled to at least half their money back.
So like I was stating, there was a bunch of other changes. So them not being happy with the garments that they received, that at the end of the day, I can't control. That is what they've ordered. I sent them pictures.
I'm talking about the ones that they didn't receive, sir, not the ones that they did.
Okay.
They were not happy, which they will tell me about the half that they received. You acknowledge that you didn't send them half of the ones that they ordered.
Correct.
Well, why should they pay for those? That's what I'm asking you to answer.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm trying to explain. So
Try to explain it to me so that Alexi understands it. He's much smarter than I am.
So when it comes down to custom manufacturing, there's a lot of other components that come into place. There were a lot of changing designs. There was a lot of remaking of screens for us to get the design onto the T-shirt that we had to do, that took up our time, that took up our money, that we didn't charge him for. So that's kind of where everything in terms of like the money goes to, is what we're saying. It's like, okay, if you're going to be making all these changes and then you're not happy with it, if you can see, I have pictures of me sending them a print of the T-shirt and them saying, oh, the print looks different. At the end of the day, we don't work on the designs. We don't change their designs. Whatever they send us is what we put on the T-shirt. If it doesn't come right on the T-shirt, that is not our fault. We don't make the design.
That sounds like a yada, yada, yada.
Isaiah Kamchan, and Brandon Ulloa claim their former supplier, Manuel Garcia, did not properly fulfill their T-shirt order and owes them a refund.
Let me see if I can give you the Reader's Digest of what he was saying and tell me if that's what you understood. Would you do that for me? They ordered 320 T-shirts. For all intents and purposes, and because of our easy math, he sent them half. They paid for 320. What he's saying is because they kept making changes, they spent more time on the half that they got. So they didn't feel that they had to send them the other half. Is that what you're getting?
Yes.
That's a duh. Do you understand? That's a duh. You know, I'm trying to think of an analogous situation for you. I'm a dentist's daughter, and I know that sometimes in my father's business, somebody would come in and he'd look at a tooth and he'd say, you know what? It's a simple filling, you know, and I'm going to charge so much. And then he started to work. Patient said, okay, you know, that's a reasonable figure, and he started to work. And all of a sudden he found, well, there was a little something else in there that he really had to do in order to do what he said he could do for $20. Mm-hmm. And so it took him more time. You think he charged the patient for that? No, he didn't. So you at least owe them half of what they sent you. They sent you $8,000. Let's make it nice and easy because I'm an easy girl. And you didn't send them half the T-shirts. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to talk about the T-shirts that you did send them. Because are we finished with the ones that you didn't?
Yep.
Yep. Now we're going to go to the ones that they did send, and you have to show me why they were unsatisfactory. Pick it up.
Perfect.
So this is the sample that we received from him. So like the way samples work is he'll send us the clothing, we'll A-OK it. So we A-OK this. This is a large, by the way. Everything's perfect, everything's great.
Okay, good.
So let me show you the XL and the small.
So this right here I'm holding is an XL. The difference. You want to see another thing?
Smaller.
This is what I'm holding is a small. We ordered 4 small sizes: small, medium, large, and XL.
Hold on, can I see the smalls?
Yeah.
Can I see?
Oh, still sorry. Here you go.
No. Well, this could be a small, a big small, but small. Can I see the extra small, please?
Extra large.
Extra large?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same as X size.
They're the same size. The small and the extra large, if you hold them up together, they're exactly the same size.
Lexi, hold these up together, would you please? Let me see. He said they're the same size. I don't think so. Could I? One certainly looked bigger to me, but not a small and an extra large. Okay, now this is what I'd like you to do, Cassandra. I want you to send these over to the defendant, and I'd like him to explain to me why these are the same size. One is labeled small, one is labeled extra large. This has nothing to do with a change of design. This has to do with almost math, which, as we all know, is not my strong suit. Okay, so now give me an explanation, sir. This has nothing to do with changing of the design. That has to do with 2 T-shirts that are exactly the same. One says small, one says extra large. Explain it.
This is a very simple fix, so there was just an issue with the tag in the labeling.
Just a second. That's what you sent them.
Yeah, that's
Just a
exactly
second.
my explanation. No, well, this is for the actual garment. What I was referring to was the print on the design.
No, I'm talking about the actual garment. Did you
Correct.
send that to them?
I did send
Just
it.
a second. You sent that to them with the label that was mislabeled.
Correct.
Okay. How many of the mislabeled T-shirts did you send them?
It's a very common mistake in manufacturing. I'm not sure. They didn't give me a number of how many were mixed up.
How many?
Exactly 73.
You see, what the problem, Mr. Garcia, is they can't sell those online because if somebody calls and orders a small and they send them a small, it's an extra large. Or if somebody calls and orders an extra large and they get it and it's got a small.
And that could be easily fixed by just changing
Who
the tag.
cares?
Yeah.
You know, my face can be easily fixed.
Both.
Not so easily anymore.
These are all just fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, they can all be fixed.
Yeah.
When it happens, it doesn't always like have to be sent out.
Yada, 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 yada. Okay, so half you didn't send them, and 73 you sent them wrong. Of the other half, 73 you sent
Labeled
them wrong.
Correct.
You sent them wrong that they can't resell as you sent them online. I mean, they could send them to a pop-up store and sell them for nothing.
Or
and
donate
say,
them.
you know, you try it on and see whether it fits you, but you can't sell them online. Otherwise, their business would be destroyed. Okay, what about the rest? Now we're finished with the sizes.
He has claimed to sent us over 180 shirts. That's incorrect. He sent us 123 exactly.
Do you have any proof that you sent them 180 shirts?
I had them in text messages, but I don't have that phone. But I mean, I'm sure that
Everybody that has no case has no phone.
I mean, I have
Mr. Garcia, everybody
have
that
proof that I
has
sent
no
them
proof,
pictures, yes, I have
everyone
photos.
then show it to me that you sent them 180 shirts.
Well, I don't have all 180 in the picture. I mean, I don't know if you'll be able to count them, but
You want me to count them? You're
Not
in
necessarily.
business. Mr. Garcia.
you want to show it?
No, you're in business, sir. That's not the way you run a business. 120 they sent, and of the 120, how many were you able to sell?
Out of the 120.
Just a second. And out of the 120, does that include the 73 that were wrong size?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that includes.
So
the
we're
70
left with only 50 that weren't labeled incorrectly.
How many shirts did he send you that you were able to sell
0. We sold none of his shirts.
because they were mislabeled or you didn't
Mislabeled
get
or
them?
misprinted and didn't get them.
Great. Do you have any text messages between the two of you?
So many.
Anything in specific?
I'd like you to show me one where you say to him, we cannot sell these shirts, they're the wrong
So
size.
We'll show you the demand letter. So we sent him a demand letter, hoping that he'd still like try to solve it outside of court, but he never replied to it and just never sent us
So
anything.
it'd be us telling him that the items received were not as promised, and the other side would be the lawsuit issue.
You say in this demand letter that you are requesting, first of all, he doesn't communicate with you when you send him information back and forth. So you say, sir, since you do not wish to communicate us, here's an official demand letter.
Yes.
You say that you paid him $15,986.
Correct.
Well, that's not what your lawsuit is here.
Isaiah Kamchan and Brandon Ulloa have accused their former supplier, Manuel Garcia, of owing them a refund after sending the wrong T-shirts.
Okay, did he send you any T-shirts?
No T-shirts.
So how much did you pay him?
All in all, minus the setup fees that we're also suing for, it is exactly.
No.
Oh, sorry.
I want to know where the $15,986 comes from.
So in this order, we did order 320 pairs of shirts, but we also ordered 240 pairs of shorts that we're not suing for.
Why?
He fulfilled that.
He fulfilled the short section.
He filled the short
Yeah,
section.
fulfilled the short.
Is that what's on your website for sale?
Yes.
Yes.
The shorts.
The
Correct.
shorts.
The shorts. So it's just the
shirts,
T-shirts.
yeah.
Shirts.
So you did fulfill the order for the shorts.
Correct.
Do you have a pair of those shorts for me to see? I would just like to take a look at them.
No.
We did not because we weren't aware. We weren't suing for those.
No, I understand that. Did he get the shorts with the same screening as on those, or are they different?
Different screen.
Different design.
So different setup fees, different screens. We paid for that. We're not suing for that portion.
We have
Just
invoices for them though.
Can I see?
Yeah. Shorts.
Of course, there were shorts on their website, right?
It might be in there.
Are they blue?
It's right there.
Yeah,
Blue,
they're
red, and
blue,
black.
red, and black.
Blue, red, and black. And they just have a little design on
Yeah,
it.
correct.
These are
Okay.
all invoices, but if you want to show a specific.
And they were
shorts,
okay.
They're gonna.
Yeah, they're
here.
okay.
Okay, well, they're on your website, so you're selling them.
Yeah. So that's gonna be shorts for prints, and we also.
The T-shirts are not on their website, correct?
There are some. There.
Can I see?
There are two. One T-shirt.
Yeah, that's not it.
One T-shirt down.
And that's not it. Okay, so those are not on the website.
And,
Got it.
And one other, but that's also.
That's not it. That's certainly not those T-shirts, not the same screen.
Something missing in there is the invoice for the shorts material. We are suing for the screens in that. That's the only reason that invoice is here. because he charged us for owning of screens and films that he told us we had to pay for that we owned and we never received as well.
Screens and
Yeah, so when...
Tell me, explain that to me.
So when making clothing, you pay for garments and then you have to pay for screens and film. So screens is like these big metal square frames and then you put a film
Did you
on
pay
it.
for those?
Yes. We did, which...
Certainly be interesting, madam, for me to know what the next thing I knew after you were going with your friend to the cities to see some of his friends. You don't know anything until after you wake up in a hospital. Wouldn't
As
you be
soon as I woke
concerned?
up, I contacted my brother.
What date?
I'm not sure. I don't remember exact dates.
I mean, you have 3 children. What do you mean you don't know what date?
I don't know the exact dates, but I did contact him as soon as I was able to, because I did not have my own phone.
Don't you see how irresponsible this whole story is for a person who has 3 children?
Yes.
How totally irresponsible it is. And what is sad about it is you appear to be an intelligent person who just seems to go from one place to another based upon, well, I used to know him in Texas. I used to know him in Colorado. I used to know him here. I'll leave my 2 boys with Camilla.
And we don't have no children, so we're taking care of her children while she's out running around doing whatever.
I didn't ask you anything. I can actually visualize the picture And sadly, so can you. What date did she finally contact you after she disappeared again?
So after a Thursday after Easter Sunday.
Thursday after Easter Sunday. So that's the
21st of April is the Thursday after Easter this year.
It was actually Monday, the 25th.
We got records.
That's when I came home.
I don't care. I just want to know when you showed up again.
I contacted my brother and I let him know what had happened. And then he was asking about our father. Like I was supposed to go pick up our father.
I don't care. Now let's get to the lawsuit. Now that I understand the characters that I'm dealing with, it is your claim that your brother and or his girlfriend took some of your property, didn't give you all your property that you should have had, because they finally said, we've had enough of you and your shenanigans. Goodbye.
I did
Good
not
idea.
start leaving the house until that April. I was in the house the whole time with my boys. I've asked them maybe to watch them overnight a couple times, but that's it.
I don't care. They had enough of you. You didn't pay rent. They could say to you, goodbye. We tried to do our best. You took advantage of us. Goodbye. Now, that being said, you stayed with them for how many months and didn't pay them any rent, any utilities? How many months? You and your boys?
4.
4 months.
Because I started paying my brother in February.
Paying him what?
Money. I gave him money.
No, I don't
When
want to
I
know who
got
gave him money. Rent. I know that at your age, maybe you think you're
didn't
too
agree
young.
upon a state
Maybe
of
you're too
an
young.
amount.
They either rent their house, they have a mortgage on their house, they have things that they have
We
to
did not
pay.
agree upon a set amount for every month. We did not
Well,
agree
don't
upon
you
it.
think you should agree on a certain amount every month? You
But
just
we did
came
not.
into $11,000.
And it was actually way more than 4 months.
You just came into $11,000. You've been living off somebody else's largesse. You just came into $11,000 that I gave you, or they gave you, but you certainly didn't work for. So you say to at least the person who you're staying with, listen, I'm going to give you a couple of $100s a month just to cover my share of the expenses because you're 2 people and we're 3.
I gave him $400 when I got my taxes. As soon as I got it, I gave him money.
Did you pay Carmela for watching the
did.
children?
Yes, I did.
$400?
Yes.
Okay. Did she pay you?
Yes.
She says in her complaint that you sold a computer of hers. She says you felt that she owed you more money because you actually watched the children for a longer period of time than the week that she paid you for when she doesn't remember where she was. Did you sell her computer?
I actually gave it away.
No, I don't believe that.
I did. And it's not
Well, why
even her
would you give
computer.
it away? That's just spiteful.
Because it was family and...
What do you mean it was family?
It was family.
I am not your family.
I don't want you to speak. You have no right to give her things away.
It wasn't hers, and I have proof right here.
Whose was it?
Who knows? I guess her friends.
That doesn't matter. It was in her possession.
It was in our possession,
It
actually.
was. She left it with us when she left.
I left it at the house.
No. That you may think is in your possession.
She asked me to sell it for her.
What?
She even asked me to sell it for her.
But it was not
Just
in your
a second.
possession. It was in my room.
Madam,
Yes.
if she asked you to sell it for her, then you don't give it away.
Well,
if she says, sell my computer for me, then you sell it. Then you don't say, I can't sell it, so I'm just going to give it away.
I gave it to one of the kids in the family that I thought could use it way more than her trying to use it to bail out her friend from jail.
That's not...
And she owed me a whole bunch more money.
Who died and left you boss?
Well, me in the house, because it was our house.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You met her in a shelter.
Yes.
How long have you lived in that house that you're currently living in?
August of 2018, to be exact.
Before that, the lease was in my name.
What part of I don't want to hear you? So you moved into his house?
Yes.
Right, so it's not your house.
Well.
It's his house. And since you're not his wife, you're his girlfriend, for now, you have no right to sell or give away any of her property, whether you think somebody deserves it more than she deserves it. That doesn't require an answer. I'm telling you what the rule is.
Oh.
Caption coming up.
You wanted them to sell your TV,
yes,
jacket, and all of this is so that you can get him out of jail.
Yes.
Oh.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Alyssa, Jordan, and Carmela.
Alyssa Bolio has accused her brother, Jordan Thompson, and his girlfriend, Carmela Turcharelli, of wrongfully selling her belongings. Jordan and Carmela claim Alyssa gave them permission to remove her property.
Now, you have no right to go into somebody else's bag. If they gave you instructions and you accepted those instructions, please sell my computer for me, which is what you just said. Isn't that what she just said?
It is what she just said.
Yeah. Sell my computer for me, and you decided not to sell it, but just to give it to somebody else in the family who could better benefit from it. You got to pay for the computer. Period.
She owed me money.
Period.
I have the evidence.
Just a second.
Okay.
Just a second. That's a different story. Carmela, let me tell you something, sir. You look like a very nice guy. You look like a very nice guy. I would unload her as fast as I could.
Oh.
I'm just telling you.
Wow.
I'm just telling you. Because first she says, I gave it away. Let's understand what she says. First she said, I gave it away. Then she said, she told me to sell it, right?
Yes.
Then she said, I gave it to somebody who I thought could use it better than she was using it. Now, I'm going to ask you, Kevin, to go get the 2 pieces of paper that she wants me to review that she owed her money, and then I'm going to go back and explain to your lovely Carmela, listen to me, sir,
I'm listening.
who I would think twice about.
Carmela shakes her head. Judy reviews the document.
Well, I don't see anything about a computer here. I see that you wanted them to sell your TV,
Yes.
jacket, and all of this is so that you can get him out of jail.
Yes.
Oh. I didn't see anything about the computer. I see the TV, I see a jacket.
Here, it's right here.
Just a second. It's not in the ones you gave me, but I'm glad you gave that to me because I have some indication that she did, in fact, ask you to start selling stuff because this is the same person that you went to the cities with.
Yes, and...
Yes, when you forgot where you were and woke up in a hospital.
Yes.
Judy shakes her head.
Okay, found someone who wants that digital graphic computer. So can you put it in the living room or by my door? So you were going to sell your digital computer.
Yes.
Was it his computer?
It was, but he had given it to me.
So you wanted to sell it?
Yes.
And you say, I'm not giving it to you until you pay me what you owe me for childcare, because you felt as if she should pay you more money because you watched the children longer than a week.
And there's a couple other reasons.
And
She owed me
whatever, and a
but
pair
she
of
owed me-
shoes. I don't care anything about that. You have a bill for the computer?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
Alyssa produces a document, then hands it to Kevin. He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
No, I don't like this because the date was changed. The date the order was placed was to April 18th, 2022. So this is not a legitimate, it may be a legitimate price, but it says order placed on April 18th, 2022. You want to take a look at that? Because that's phony. Somebody changed that. No, somebody changed it.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
When did you get it?
I got it in April.
I don't believe this. Take a look.
Judy hands the document to Sarah.
When did he go to jail?
The 25th
Of
April.
what?
Of April.
And you left on vacation with him when?
A week before Easter, so I'm not really sure.
A week before Easter, Sarah. What's the date?
The week before Easter, the previous Sunday would be the 10th, April 10th.
April 10th. And you were away for a week.
Yes.
And then you don't remember where you were.
No, that was the second week.
That was the second week?
Yes. I was in Colorado for the full week, and I came back the day before Easter, and then I left on Easter Day, and then
And when did you get this computer? You see, that's what I'm asking you. When could you possibly have gotten this computer if the bill...
This is dated the 18th
of April,
which I believe they said was the day she came back.
When could you have possibly gotten it from him?
I ordered it for him. I paid for it, and then he gave it to me.
Listen, I suggest you both get your acts together. You get nothing from your brother. Just consider yourself very, very lucky that he took care of you and that he let you come into his house. I would suggest you not do it again, and maybe she'll get smart. She has 3 children. She'd like to raise them together. She should get a job. Find a way of making a living. Figure it out. because you made 3 children. They have a right to a certain amount of stability.
And they all are stable.
That's not stability.
That is
Get it
stability.
together. Oh, well, sometimes you can't get through to people. They're that kind of thick, and that's why we are where we are in this country. Do you understand?
Yes,
Think twice. I know you tried to be a good brother.
Yep.
Think twice about doing it again. By the way, does your mother work?
Yes.
And it mentioned something about a father. What kind of work did your father do?
I don't really remember.
He was a logger.
Both your parents work.
Yep.
Good. Evidently, it didn't rub off. Thank you very much. Your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim.
This court is adjourned. Outside the courtroom, Alyssa, then Carmela and Jordan.
I'm okay with it.
She was a friend, and I love her children. And really, it wasn't about her. It was about them kids.
He won't talk to me because of her.
You need a job, you need to
Change.
Something needs to change with her.
I don't really care.
Hopefully she does figure it out. The kids deserve it. He deserves it. He's a good brother.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, that case takes me back to my family court days. And I only have one observation other than the fact that I'm what should be society's frustration with this, which is once you have children, you have the responsibility, your sole responsibility is to make sure that your children are taken care of. You have to say, listen, my social life takes a back seat. Everything else takes a back seat. But I have 3 little kids, and they are my priority. So I have to do whatever I can to put my life in order. And she clearly has her priorities all messed up.
I agree. I think I can understand and empathize with those women who are parents who can't provide a stable environment for their children and temporarily leave them with a mother, a father, a family member, while they can provide for a stable environment, go get a job, go try and find constant housing. But it blows my mind. I can't empathize with leaving your children with family to take care of and then not doing anything to put yourself in a position to care for them.
In a better place. Yeah. You're right. I don't have to worry.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv. His brother, Cleefers McCowan Jr., for personal property and filing a false police report.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Case 2143, Simpsons versus McCowan Jr.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Simpson, you lived with Mr. McGowan for, looks like 7 years is what you said.
Yes, ma'am. It was off and on.
What do you mean off and on?
Well, I had another residence as well.
Okay.
And
it's going to get more complicated, I see, than less complicated. You lived off and on, according to you, with the defendant's brother, who is now deceased. Yes. It is your claim at one point in your papers that you and the defendant's brother were married.
Yes, ma'am.
He passed away.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that the defendant owes you money. He was the executor of the estate, and he owes you money for property that he took from the house and for filing a false police report against you, I assume indicating that you took things from the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. McGowan says that you and his brother were never married, while he indicates in his papers there might have been some sort of ceremony of marriage.
Yes.
That his brother somehow must have told him that he never filed the marriage license, so the marriage was never valid.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, let's go to that for a moment.
Yeah.
Yes, it's sort of curious and takes me back to law school days. And believe me, that really tests my memory. Were you at the ceremony where your brother married the plaintiff?
No, ma'am, I was not.
When did your brother tell you that there was a marriage ceremony?
I probably heard it just throughout life.
You mean throughout life for how long?
From the time that he had any dealings with her.
So about 7 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
So you asked your brother whether he was married?
Yes.
How long ago was this?
I would say 4 years ago.
Okay, so 4 years ago, you say to your brother, I understand that you, what's your first name?
Mona.
Mona got married.
Well, so he gave me an insurance document, and I was like, wow, what's going on? What about all this?
He gave you an insurance document that said what?
From the VA indicating that I was going to be the person that gets the money. upon if he demise.
If he died,
Right. And
you had a VA insurance policy
Yes, ma'am.
with you as the beneficiary.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so he showed you the insurance policy.
Well, he sent it to me in the mail.
Okay,
Or
and?
email or electronic. And so I said, wow, what's going on? So then I started to ask different questions, and he said, well, don't worry about that. We're not legally married.
No, you have to tell me. I said to him,
I said to him, so doesn't your wife
Isn't she the
get
beneficiary?
this? I don't want to be involved in all this.
Right.
And he said, I am not married. We went through a ceremony, and you have 10
Okay.
days to file the
marriage license.
the marriage license in Las Vegas.
Okay.
To solidify the marriage.
Marriage.
And then he said, I never filed it. We are not married.
May I?
Just a second. Did your brother tell you that he had ever told Ms. Simpson that he never filed the marriage license?
No, we never had that conversation.
Okay, well, because you say in your answer, sir, that my brother was too smart for that, he never mailed in the license.
Well, he told me because there was a problem between these two. And so we talked about that, and he said, no, I'm not married to her. And he said, you have to file the document, and I never filed the document. And I have a copy of that right here.
Ms. Simpson,
Yes, ma'am.
tell me when this ceremony took place in Las Vegas.
April 2013.
Did you travel there with Mr. McGowan?
Yes, ma'am. We moved to Vegas together.
Who was at the ceremony?
It was no ceremony. What happened was I don't know what this is. What happened was we went to the Justice of the Peace, and the 10 days is not accurate.
No, don't
apologize.
Don't tell me.
We had 1 year to go to like a pastor or minister or something like that because we just went to the Justice of the Peace in Vegas. They give you a year to do it, whereas it's, I guess, what I think the term is officiant or something. Officiant has to do it so you can become married permanently.
So you knew that you were not legally married?
Well, it was legal, but it would be official if you don't do another step within a year. And
I understand that, but you never did the other step.
We didn't, only because he was sick, ma'am.
I don't care what the reason was. I don't care if he was watching Yellowstone or because it doesn't matter why.
I respect that.
What? You can get hooked on that.
No, yeah.
I understand.
So
No,
I
and
don't care what the
that's
reason is. You knew that your marriage, because it wasn't confirmed, according to you, within a
ma'am.
year that you weren't legally married.
Yes, ma'am. And that
Okay, just a second. That's all I want to know. That makes my life much easier. Because, Mr. McGowan, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Under what you told me, under the events that you told me, so you should have kept your mouth shut.
No, it's okay.
No.
It's going to be okay in the end. It's going to make a lot of sense in the end.
No, I understand that it's going to make a lot of sense to me. We're going to follow the money. But I just want to tell you and the people who are watching this that when I thought about your answer, that you said your brother was too smart and didn't file the necessary document within 10 days, my view of that scenario was that she could still consider herself his wife. Because if he fraudulently, in an attempt to deceive her, didn't mail the marriage license in, she would be the beneficiary. I'm just letting you know that. You understand what I just said?
Yes, ma'am.
Because he committed a fraud on her. He would have committed a fraud, your brother, on her into leading her to believe that they were a married couple and they had the responsibilities and the benefits of a married couple. But she says she volunteered that she knew they weren't married.
Yeah.
So I don't even have to address that.
And it's okay.
Just a second. I know where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So Mr. McGowan, the person that you were involved in for a period of years, on and off, you had your own place, but he was ill for a certain period of time. Was your brother ill?
No, ma'am.
No. Just a second. Key says no. You say he was ill for a great portion of that time.
Met him.
Shh. Just a second. For a great portion of that time, and that you were his caregiver.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were paid as his caregiver by the government.
The VA, yes, ma'am.
By the VA to be his caregiver.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that would be inconsistent with being his wife, to be his caregiver. Because if you're a wife, you don't get benefits from the VA. If you are a non-relative and caring for somebody who requires assistance, you may get assistance. And how much was the VA Just answer my question. This is not my first rodeo.
Okay, I understand.
How much was the VA paying you a month to take care of, what was your brother's first name?
Marcus.
How much were you being paid to take care of Marcus? Because you say that one check you didn't get because of him. It's part of your lawsuit, so you know exactly how much you were paid.
Ma'am.
How much?
$2,057.55.
A month.
Yes,
and when
ma'am.
did you start collecting that?
2014.
Woo!
Caption coming up.
You are a legal stranger, so you must have filled out forms to say that you were married.
No, I was considered a family member. I was no longer considered the wife, but I was considered.
Well, you're not no longer. You were never his wife.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Ramona and Clayfors.
Ramona Simpson claims her ex-boyfriend's brother, Clayfors McCowan Jr., threw out her personal belongings. Clayfors is countersuing for damage and stolen property.
Okay, so there was a reason why you didn't continue to solemnize the marriage ceremony that you went through in 2013, because you started to collect $2,000 a month from the VA in 2014 that you couldn't have collected were you his wife. That's a yes.
No, it isn't, ma'am. Receiving the benefits from the VA, you have to be a family member. You have to be related to that person in order to get this stipend pay. It wasn't a regular VA payment, and it's for relatives. You have to be a relative for that veteran.
What are you getting?
Yes, it's true.
Just to check that,
Pull
Sarah.
up stipend pay for VA, because we're both disabled veterans. It's not like I just had to do this. I loved him, and I care for him, and he was sick the day I met him.
Just a minute, you both disabled veterans?
Well, my disability was not as crucial as his was.
How much do you collect?
I very minimum, because
Which I asked you a question.
30%.
That's a very minimum.
Yes.
It's not a number.
Yes, it's $300 and some change. But the thing is, Your Honor, may I speak, please? He was sick from the day that I met him, and I was taking care of him prior for that. This was his idea, because he was familiar with the veterans and the system. This was his idea that we can receive funds, and it stayed right in the household. We were living together. It was stayed in the household, and that's okay with
I
them.
thought you told me a moment ago that you had your own place.
No, not then, ma'am. Not then, when we moved back from Vegas, because we stayed in Vegas for approximately 3 years. When we moved back from Vegas, he had purchase of home and everything, and it was supposed to be okay. We were going to be together. But he started living another alternate life, which he was very familiar with, because he's introduced him to so many people. I don't even care about that. I still continue to take care of Marcus. It was no longer a romantic situation.
Now you still continue. You had your own place.
I lived both places, because he needed me more there than he did when we was living together.
What kind of alternative lifestyle was he doing that he needed you there part-time?
He was seeing other people and
he was
stuff like
seeing
that.
women.
Pardon me?
He was seeing other women.
He was seeing other people, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so he was seeing other people. But you, let me finish.
Yes, ma'am.
But you continued to receive the $2,057. You knew you weren't married. That money was coming directly to you. It wasn't coming to him.
Well,
it was coming to you. At what address?
He was giving me a portion from his bank account, and then when we discontinued everything, there was nothing physical. Then I was receiving my full allotment at that point, but I was still taking care of him, taking him to the VA, taking him to the hospital.
Wait just a second. I don't care. Don't go like this and like this. He's a legal stranger to you, and you're getting $2,000 a month to take him to the VA.
Ma'am, he was not a legal stranger.
He was a legal stranger to you. Legal. He was not your mother, father, brother, sister, or husband.
Ma'am, he was a dear friend of me. He continued to be a friend, honestly.
Well,
and he knows that. We went to several places together.
I'm setting up for myself what is the actuality of the situation. Now, I understand that I was really not prepared for this scenario. I was prepared for somebody, quite frankly, Miss Simpson, who had been defrauded by his deceased brother into believing they were married. She took care of him when he was sick. And all of a sudden, now that he's deceased, his brother comes in, kicks her out of the house, and takes all of his property. That's the scenario. But now I understand that that is not the case, that you knew you weren't married, that for 8 years you collected $2,000 a month for taking him to the doctor's offices, to the vet, to taking care of him in the house, but you understood that he was seeing other people, that you didn't have an exclusive relationship. Now I understand it. And you did receive a certain benefit from that because when you moved back from Vegas, you went to your own place because he was having an alternative life that had nothing to do with you. At that point, was the money going to his bank account or yours?
It was going to his bank account, ma'am.
Okay. Well, you say that he notified the government. Part of your lawsuit is for 1 month's check that you say, or 2 months that you didn't get. And you say you didn't get it because he notified the VA or somebody notified the VA. I don't care who notified the VA, but I want to know is, with those checks immediately preceding Mr. McGowan's death, going into his bank account or yours that he had?
His. It was going into Marcus's bank account.
Okay, and he was giving you money from that bank account?
Prior to his death, yes, ma'am.
Right up to the time he got sick and died?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
and how much would he give you?
He would have given me $2,057. $2,000.
All right.
No,
okay,
you mean total?
No,
I'm sorry.
No. I get it. It was not what I thought, but I get it.
Ma'am, may I
okay,
please say
money owed
something?
for the return of property. What property?
The property, which is my funds. I have jewelry that was missing and clothing that I never received because he kicked out his niece and boarded up the house.
Just a second. Was your brother taken to the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date?
28th of August, 2021.
Okay.
He was nowhere to be found.
Just what?
He wasn't around.
Just a second.
I did that.
Just a second. Did you take him to the hospital?
I had his daughter to call an ambulance. I got to Marcus's house and I followed him to the hospital. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, well, you want to just answer my question? I actually understand the whole scenario. You understand that I do understand the money part. I get it. So when you say his daughter called the ambulance and you got over there from your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who do you live with there?
My daughter and my son.
And in whose name is the lease?
My daughters, my son, and myself.
So all three are on the lease?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you had a lease at that address?
2017.
Okay, so we're talking about 5 years that you've had an alternative address. You have an answer for me?
There is a Veterans Affairs program of comprehensive assistance for family caregivers. It says $2,800 a month, but based on a fee schedule that can change. So the 2057 fits within the range.
And does it define family members?
It doesn't define the family caregiver, only that the VA may appoint someone who's part of the primary family caregivers to the veteran, but it doesn't identify who qualifies as a family caregiver.
As a family caregiver. And that's the act that you were under. But you were not a member of his family.
Yes, ma'am.
You were not a member of his family.
Well, it
not
goes
a well.
further than that.
Not a well. This is not a well. You're living with your daughter, your son, on a lease since 2017. You know he's got an alternative lifestyle that has absolutely nothing to do with you. He was giving you the $2,000 a month. I don't know why. I don't even have to get into that.
Ma'am,
But
it's
you
up
were
to
not
that individual,
But you
ma'am.
were not a family member. If this is for family,
It does go to the veteran to then give the family caregiver, though.
okay, but you are a legal stranger to him. So you must have filled out forms to say that you were married.
No, it's up to that. It's up to that individual, the veteran, and I know how the procedure goes. It's up to that individual. I was considered a family member. I was no longer considered the wife, but I was considered.
But you're not no longer. You were never his wife. So if he filled out a form and
I'm okay with that, ma'am, because I could have.
Okay, so he had the right. You were never his wife. He had the right to board up the house, whichever it is, and you weren't living there for 5 years. You had a place. So if you had clothes there and your jewelry, what were your clothes and your jewelry there? If he was fooling around with other women, why would you leave your clothes and your jewelry in the house?
Okay, ma'am. The thing is, no one has came to the home as another woman in that home. I was always there. He has no proof or evidence that I was not there. So basically, I had their clothes there because I stayed there. I lived there.
Forget it. You were more than compensated with $2,000 a month. What's next?
Caption coming up.
I don't believe that you leave any valuable jewelry at his house.
I was there most of the time, honestly.
You don't need valuable jewelry if you're taking care of a sick person.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Ramona N. Clayfors.
Ramona Simpson is accusing defendant Cleefers McCowan Jr. of throwing out her personal belongings.
Okay. Do you have any of her property?
No, ma'am.
Did you dispose of any of her property?
I didn't. She had no property
Just
there.
a second. I don't believe she had any property there either, anything of value.
And I did.
Okay.
Can I?
Excuse me.
I did find what the VA considers a caregiver. So if you're a spouse, son, daughter, parent, step family member, or extended family member of a veteran, or if you live full-time with them, or if you're willing to live full-time with them if they designate you as the family caregiver.
So technically,
if you're willing
the
to live with the veteran full-time, you could be qualified as a family caregiver, but it's up to the veteran to declare their own family
caregiver, if you live there full-time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she stated if you were willing to, and I was always willing to.
Okay,
And because
good. I don't feel as if you were shortchanged, madam, at all. And I don't believe that you had anything of value in the house. So your case is dismissed. Now we're going to get to the second part of your claim. You say she took property from the house?
Yes, ma'am.
What property?
She took jewelry, guns.
What jewelry?
Chains, rings, cufflinks.
Show me.
Entire.
Show me. How am I going to figure that out? You have photographs of things?
Yes, I have some photographs here.
This is so sad.
So sad. You have to put a period and end it. You had a good thing going for 9 years.
Ma'am, the money was paid in the arrears, first of all. So me not getting paid for, and this is really not a big issue to me, what he's saying, because they're all lies, and I'll tell you the truth.
Just say, I'm not saying anything, madam. All I'm saying is you have no case, because I don't believe that somebody who lived in a lifestyle, as you've described, as you've described to me, which is you have your own home, where you're on a lease since 2017, where you said to me he had an alternative lifestyle, but I still took him to his VA appointments. I took him, and I was his caregiver, but I lived with my daughter and my son. I don't believe that you leave any valuable jewelry at his house.
I was there most of the time, honestly.
You don't need valuable jewelry if you're taking care of a sick person.
But
Can I see?
I was stating, we're also friends, ma'am.
I've decided your case.
I respect that.
Clayfors hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
This is just what had happened to looking for everything that was taken in there.
I don't care. Who cares? What are you showing me? You're showing me that the place is a mess, that somebody went through it?
I'm showing you
I don't
what.
care.
Okay.
I don't care. Prior to his death, when had you seen your brother last?
I had seen him about 5 days prior to that.
You live close by?
I was living in San Diego at the time, and he lived in Highland, which is 79 miles up the 15 freeway.
Okay, so 5 days prior. Prior to the 5 days prior that you saw your brother, when had you seen him before?
We see each other quite frequently. We have family barbecues, this, that, and the other. I'm retired. I go.
Okay, would you return these to him? These don't show me any jewelry.
Okay.
It shows me that the house looked like it was picked through.
Okay. Thank you.
What else?
So quite frequently.
That's it. Did you get a VA benefit from your brother for his insurance?
From the life insurance policy.
Yeah, that's from the VA.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much did you receive?
$2,600.
Who paid for his funeral?
I did.
How much was that?
$1,100 or $1,200.
So you took some of the insurance money and paid for it?
Yes.
Did he have any other valuable asset?
He had quite a bit of stuff. It's in probate as we speak.
Oh, so case is in probate
It's in probate right now as we speak.
Oh, great. So I don't have to deal with it. Your case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Ramona.
You know what? I have a lot of respect for the judge, but she didn't listen to me.
Well, I'm happy that the judge made the decision that she made.
He's a habitual liar.
Thief. My brother died, and within a half a day went over and burglarized the house.
This is something that he can laugh about, and he's going to go and tell the whole world that I'm still a liar. I'm still a this, that, and the other.
There is quite a bit of items that belong to me that this person stole.
That you can love someone and not be married to them. You can help someone and not be married to them and making love to them. I was genuinely there to help Marcus because I love Marcus.
The devil. I don't want the devil, the devil.
He barred me from the funeral. I didn't fight it because the respect I have for his family and for Marcus. I could have went there. No. I said, you know what? I won't be there.
I hope that she crawls back in the rat hole she came out of and does whatever she does.
Judy and Sarah.
You know what was interesting in that case, Sarah? When I read the complaint and the answer, I had a whole different vision.
Me too.
Of what the arrangement was. And based upon what the defendant wrote in his answer, that his brother, with regard to the marriage, to his brother telling him, I'm too smart, I didn't mail in the papers.
Read like fraud a little bit.
Right.
But she was in on it. She knew. She didn't complete the steps.
She didn't complete the step for a different reason,
Sure.
but she knew
that they weren't legally married.
That they weren't legally
Which
married.
changes the whole game from a legal perspective.
Right. Certainly the fact that the case is currently in probate made my life a lot easier. Anyway, it should be a warning signal when you get married out there, folks, and you have a marriage license, because I performed enough weddings to know you have to seal it, sign it, put a stamp on it, and usually put it in the mail within 3 days of the ceremony. So brides and grooms, make sure you put it in the mail together, or watch the officiant put it in the mail.
Can never be too sure.
Right.
Title: Judy Justice.
Are you having a family dispute? Her former friend, Cardi Moran, for television damage caused during an argument.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches.
Case 2144, Paramount versus Morgan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judy turns to Jennifer.
Ms. Paramount, you and the defendant had been friends. Then, according to what I read, there was a falling out, which you will tell me about briefly. Subsequently, and without too much time having passed, you decided to conduct an intervention, a drug intervention, with the defendant. Yes. And it is your claim that during that drug intervention, she damaged your television set, and you want her to pay for a new TV. That's what your case is about. The defendant has a cross-complaint. She says she's missing some sort of a speaker. I don't know what that is. And for the emotional distress that she suffered as a result of this intervention. So I have a couple of questions, just preliminarily. How long have you known each other?
Over 20 years.
Friends?
Yes, best friends. Former best friends.
Former best friends. But there came a time, according to your complaint, that there was a falling out. And when was that?
That was in May of this year.
And what was the falling out about?
It was about our mutual friend and...
This gentleman?
Yes.
What about your mutual friend?
He was in the hospital, and we were all taking care of him. And she felt adamant to tell me that I need to do certain things for him. And I was letting her know that if he needs to tell me he needs my help, he can tell me.
Okay, there were several people looking after him while he was in the hospital, taking turns, is that right?
Yes.
And she was telling you things that you should be doing for him, and you said to her, if he wants me to do something, let him tell me, you don't direct me.
Correct.
Okay, tell me the next thing that happened that brings us to court today.
Well, after that, in May, I blocked her. We didn't speak.
Did you go to visit him?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. And did you?
Yes.
So you both did. Okay, so you blocked her in May. Then what's the next thing that happened?
Now we're in September, and this was...
And between May and September, you haven't seen her?
Haven't seen her.
Okay.
And now it's September. It's Labor Day weekend, and our friend Brandon wanted to mend our friendship back together. And it kind of did, because we've been friends for so long. We talked and kind of mended.
Okay.
Okay, so I unblocked her. And then on that Sunday, September 4th, she calls me at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I guess she still felt uneasy about, you know, us not talking for so long, that she demanded an apology from me.
She called you early in the morning demanding an apology for what?
For basically just, I was in the wrong of not listening to her about our friend.
Okay, and then what happened?
So I refused to give her an apology. I said, we can move past it, but I'm not apologizing, which she got upset again and hung up the phone on me. And after that, she basically called a family member of mine.
Not basically.
Sorry.
You say that she placed a call to a family member.
Yes.
Okay, and you can't tell me what that family member told you because that's hearsay. You
Correct.
understand that? Okay, so she called a family member, and that was on September 4th.
Yes.
Okay, the family member called you.
The family member actually...
Did what?
Actually lives with me. So they didn't call me.
Okay, well, you can tell me the relationship.
It's just family.
Okay, family member who lives with you,
Yes.
and?
So she was calling that family member, asking for...
You can't tell me what any of that was
Okay,
about.
I'm sorry. So after the conversation with the family member told me what she said. I know, I'm not saying the conversation.
Absolutely right.
So I told Brandon what she said, and we thought at the time, let's have an intervention.
Okay, now, so without giving any credibility to any out-of-court statements, I assume by the word intervention, you had a suspicion that the defendant was using drugs or alcohol.
Yes.
Before that, before September 4th, did you have any knowledge of ongoing substance abuse with your best friend?
Yes.
Since when?
For a very long time.
Okay. Did you ever discuss the drug use with her?
Yes.
Well, you can tell me what those discussions were like. What kind of drugs were you afraid she was using?
I prefer not to say.
Well, you can't not say. That's what this is all about. You wanted to have an intervention. You didn't want to have an intervention because she was having caramel-covered popcorn. There was a controlled substance, I assume, that you were afraid she was using.
Yes.
Which was what?
Cocaine.
Have you ever seen her using cocaine?
Yes.
Did you ever use cocaine with her?
Yes.
Between May and September, had you ever used cocaine with her?
No.
So it was before that?
Yes.
His name is Brandon?
Yes.
Had Brandon ever used cocaine with the two of you?
No.
Did you ever see Brandon use cocaine?
No.
Okay. So you, who had used cocaine with her, decided to have an intervention with Brandon?
Yes.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an inbound call agent. I sell tickets.
Okay. And what does Brandon do?
He's disabled.
And who was going to be at this intervention?
It was myself, Brandon, and another mutual friend.
Mutual friend. Now, this mutual friend, whose name I will not have you state, have you ever seen that mutual friend use any sort of controlled substance? Answer the question.
Yes.
Yes. So now you have two people who've used controlled substance, one who has not, to your knowledge, doing an intervention.
Correct.
Okay, and do you know what an intervention is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's basically a meeting of the minds of having a discussion with one person about an issue that...
And who's there?
Who's there?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say trusted people that I would feel that they were...
Sarah, I want you to look up the word intervention and read me the very, very simplistic definition of an intervention.
From the Mayo Clinic, an intervention is a carefully planned process that may be done by family and friends in consultation with a doctor or professional, such as a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, or directed by an intervention professional called an interventionalist.
Okay, so what you don't have is something, I assume, this conversation occurred on September 4th.
Correct.
Was it on that same day that you decided to have an intervention?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start with the word well-planned, not as a result of a conversation that you have with somebody. And it's a well-planned event done in conjunction with very often relatives or close family who have a concern that something is out of control, some abusive behavior that's related to either alcohol or other controlled substances, in conjunction with a licensed professional where everything is synchronized, but managed by a professional. Do you understand?
Yes, this was a bad plan.
There was no plan. It was a plan made because you were annoyed.
Cardi nods. Caption coming up.
Usually people who are involved in thinking about an intervention have nothing but love in their heart for the person who needs that intervention, but they have a plan. You didn't have a plan.
Yes,
you kidnapped her into your house.
Cardi winces. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Jennifer and Cardi.
Jennifer Paramon claims her former friend, Cardi Moran, broke her television. Cardi is countersuing for emotional distress.
Now, you were annoyed at the conversation, so what you did was not really an intervention. What did you think was going to happen at the end of this intervention? What was supposed to happen to her? According to what I read, you called her, or someone called her, probably your family member, called her with regard to these drugs that she wanted to purchase. Is that what happened?
Yes.
And said, I have them come to the house.
Yes.
Okay, so that's not a giant leap. You have to put that together. So she calls you a family member for some cocaine. You arrange for an intervention. Your family member calls her at your request and says, come to the house. So that's what happened.
Yes.
Okay, but she was lured to your apartment.
Yes. Yes, I was.
Yes.
By whom?
By us. By her.
What do you mean by us?
They all said-
myself.
Shut up.
Myself, Brandon, and another
Well,
mutual
who
friend.
called her and said, come over?
Who called her?
Yes.
We were already going out. She was already going out with Brandon.
Just a second. She
And-
was already going out with Brandon.
Yes. And she decided to come to where I live to come pick up these drugs. Because when she found out that basically the setup was for her to get her to my house. So I told my family member to tell her that we did have it.
Oh, just a second. That's what I said. So she was lured
Yes.
to your house.
Yes.
Where you were going to do what with her? What happened when you got to your house?
Basically, just talk.
Not basically.
Sorry.
Not basically. You lure somebody to the house. She's come to the house now expecting, let us say, expecting to buy drugs or get drugs. She gets there and realizes that that's not going to happen, that there are other people that that's not going to happen. So tell me what happened when she walked in the house. That's what your case is.
Well, when she walked in the house, I immediately tried to give her a hug, and she was upset.
Now, you immediately tried to give her a hug. What did you say?
I didn't say anything. I just opened arms, and she said, no, it's fake, backing away.
It's fake. What's
Yes.
fake?
My hug.
Okay, so she backed away.
Yes.
And?
And it just started off with
No. Somebody had to say something to her. Somebody had to say this is an intervention. Somebody had to say why she was there. She eventually was going to say, where are the drugs? But you have to tell me what happened.
Yes, when she walked
You
in the
walked
house-
in, you went to give her a hug, pushed you away. Then what? Come on, this was an intervention.
Yes. So we couldn't even get to the part of this is an intervention.
How could you get to an intervention? You
Because
don't know
she-
what an intervention is.
Well, we couldn't get to a part of let's talk. She immediately said she was being set up. This is a setup with arguments back and forth.
Well, what were the arguments back and forth?
The back and forth arguments.
She said, I'm being set up. Somebody said to her, this is an intervention.
We didn't get to that part.
Well, what is the setup that she was talking about?
I don't know why she said.
Well, it was a setup.
It was a setup. It was a setup.
Yeah, so I want to know what your end game was.
The end game was to have a conversation with her so we can resolve our issues of why does she need an apology from me? We have been friends for so long. Her getting to my house, yes, we did lie and say, yes, there was drugs at my house. But she already knew from how we're all there that there was no drugs. She was upset. She was irate. She was bringing up the argument that we had earlier in the morning.
So this wasn't an intervention for drugs or alcohol?
It was an intervention for drugs and alcohol.
Oh, okay. Then I'm asking you, not what happened, what was your end game?
The end game was to have a conversation with her about how much drugs she was doing because it changed her mood. It made her angry.
Well,
it made
did
her.
you have a program for her to go to? Did you have a program to take her to? Had you spoken to a professional? Had you done anything?
No.
Okay. And when she was there, according to you, she was in your house with 3 other people?
Myself and Brandon and another mutual friend.
So with 3 other people,
Yes.
so she was there with 3 other adults.
Yes.
And she was lured there under false pretenses.
Yes.
And what she did, according to you, was pick up a chair and throw it at you, or threw it at a television set, breaking the television set.
She didn't throw it at me.
What did she do?
She threw it directly at my television.
Judy shrugs.
Lucky she didn't throw it at you.
I wish she would have.
That's
exactly what she
Just a second. You're lucky. You can't do what you did. That's almost like kidnapping. If you're having a serious intervention, you have to sit down, have a working plan, what happened, have the right in your heart, have the right messaging. Your messaging was all wrong. Usually people who are involved in thinking about an intervention have nothing but love in their heart for the person who needs that intervention, and they seek professional help in order to get that person professional help. But they have a plan. You didn't have a plan.
Yes,
you kidnapped her into your house.
It was
you
bad.
Can't do that.
It was bad. It was
very bad.
Yeah.
So you fix your own television set. Your case is dismissed.
But Your Honor, I have it all on video.
Did she break your TV?
Yes.
I'm going to look at the video. Your case is still going to be dismissed. I believe she broke your TV. Show me the video. I believe it.
And I also have
I believe
the
that
pictures.
I believe that you're lucky that's all she did in order to get out of your apartment. Did she ultimately leave your apartment?
Forcefully,
Yes.
I kicked her out.
So forcefully, you tricked her into coming in, and then you kicked her out.
Yes, after breaking my property.
Okay.
Video footage. Cardi throws a chair.
Why am I being recorded?
Just a second. I don't know why you're being recorded. In any event, as I said, your case is dismissed. Fix your own TV. You have a counterclaim.
Yes.
And your counterclaim, I don't know what this speaker is. What is a speaker?
A speaker, you connect your phone to Bluetooth and you hear music on it.
Okay, so what was it doing at her house?
We were supposed to be hanging out. So I was supposed to be hanging out with Brandon and another mutual friend. I didn't know we were gonna stay at Jennifer's house.
Okay, I just want to know what you brought the speaker.
Yeah, a speaker.
And you left it there.
I didn't leave it there. My things were scattered. When she was kicking me out, my things were scattered, getting kicked into the hallway.
Caption, coming up.
When amateurs decide to do an intervention, any negative consequence that flows from that, you just have to accept.
But that's reason for her to break my stuff?
Absolutely. It would have been reason to her to break everything in your apartment to get out.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Jennifer and Cardi.
Jennifer Paramon has accused her former friend, Cardi Moran, of breaking her television. Cardi claims Jennifer caused emotional distress after being tricked by Jennifer.
Okay. Did you look for the speaker?
Yeah, I looked everywhere in the hallway.
Do you have her speaker?
There was never a speaker.
Did you see a speaker?
No, I didn't.
Okay, there's no speaker. Now let's talk about your emotional situation. You got to this, I can't even call it intervention.
Trap.
Trap, that's a good word.
There you go.
That's a good word, thank you. And tell me what happened when you got there.
When I got there, I asked her family member to come downstairs.
Okay. Ms. Moran, you walk in the door.
Yes.
And there's no question that you were tricked and that this was a trap.
Yes.
That's what it was.
I realized that maybe 1 minute. Okay.
That's what it was. Got in there, and it was an uneasy feeling. You realized that it was a trick to get you there. It was a trap. I want you to tell me what happened when you got inside.
Jennifer starts to walk up to me, like with her arms open, real slow motion, like, Cardi, I'm sorry. You know, we should talk about this. We're friends. In that same tone. And I'm like, yo, really? You're being fake. I don't really want this. You know, I came here to get what I wanted, and let's go. But Brandon is getting all comfortable. He is disabled, so, you know, all right, fine. He's got to get comfortable. So we start arguing, me and Jennifer, we start arguing.
About what?
About the conversation that me and her had earlier. You know, she said that I should just get over what she said initially for me getting upset.
Okay, so the initial conversation didn't have anything to do with drugs?
We never talked about drugs. When I got to the house, I never had anything to do with them. I was talking to the family member, what I came to get. Then once me and her start arguing, I tell Brandon, like, all right, can we go now? Like, are we done here? Like, let's leave. I want to go.
So what happened? When you said to Brandon, let's go, I want to get out of here, what happened?
She squirts me with a water gun. She tells me, oh, I'm gonna squirt you like I squirt the dogs.
Brandon, stand up. Your last name is?
Milner.
I want you to describe this water gun.
To be honest, Judge, I don't remember seeing a water gun.
It's in the video. If you listen to the video, she says it. I'm gonna squirt you
Brandon,
like I squirt
before I
the
look
dogs.
at this again, you were there in the room.
Yes.
I'm going to give you one before I look at the video again. Whether you saw her squirt the water gun or not, did you see a water gun that day?
No, I didn't.
No, okay. So let's play this and let me hear what you're referring to.
I said, are you serious?
Okay, Sarah, you have a much more keen sense
said-
of hearing than I do.
I'm going to squirt you like I squirt that dog.
Okay. She's got younger ears than I do. What?
I never squirted her with the
Whether you did or not, are you telling me that
No, I
that
said
Sarah
it.
heard?
I
Okay,
said
so
it.
you did squirt.
But I
you
didn't
say
squirt
it.
her.
I'm going to squirt you like I squirt the dog. Okay, but that's not an intervention.
We were
I don't know.
arguing at that point. It was already past the
That's because you lured
conversation,
her there.
intervention.
Because you did the wrong thing.
Yeah, it was a horrible plan. It was horrible.
Oh, yeah, they're absolutely right. And it caused a great deal of distress. I want to know how you got out of the apartment.
I was kicked out. I was pushed out. My things were thrown into the hallway.
At what point did that happen? Is that after?
Literally 3 seconds after.
After the TV was broken.
Yes.
You were pushed out the door.
Yes.
Well, that's some really good intervention. How long were you in the house?
A total 6 minutes, maybe.
Where did you go from there?
I got picked up and went home.
Got picked up by
2
whom?
hours later by my sister-in-law.
Don't make anything up.
No.
Who picked you up?
My sister-in-law.
Okay.
And my daughter and her boyfriend.
In that 2-hour period,
Yes.
you must have waited somewhere for them.
Yes, I waited in her hallway.
Okay, so you waited. When they came to pick you up, was there any further conversation with her or Brandon? They just picked you up.
Well, between those 2 hours, there was conversations between my daughter and Brandon, my daughter and Jennifer. Everyone was talking.
Well, where was your daughter?
She was home.
So it was on the phone that they were talking?
Yes, and she was pleading with them to give me my stuff back so I could just leave.
The cross complaint, or the countersuit, is seeking $1,800. It's seeking $1,800 not only for the emotional distress that was caused to the defendant, but also for a speaker. They don't have a speaker. How much was the speaker so that I can deduct that?
It was $129.
Okay, so we're really talking about $1,700. Okay, and that's the amount that you want for your emotional distress.
Yes, Your Honor.
For that 6 minutes. I don't blame you. I think it's worth at least that. I think that when amateurs decide for all the wrong reasons to do an intervention, any negative consequence that flows from that, you just have to accept.
But that's reason for her to break my stuff?
Absolutely. It would have been reason to her to break everything in your apartment to get out. Absolutely. You are holding her there. Yes, just a second. You brought her there under false pretenses. That's what you did. And you had somebody else there as well. And according to you, you wrote it was an intervention. But it wasn't an intervention. It was whether you wanted to.
For a 20-year relationship, intervention may be a wrong
Well,
word.
it was a very,
it was
a very, very wrong word, and you don't trick somebody to come to your house with something else in mind, even if it's to buy drugs. So I'm awarding you $1,700 on the counterclaim for your emotional distress. Your claim for the broken TV is dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I have no thoughts.
I'm happy with her decision, but it's bittersweet because these are my friends.
Just have a conversation about certain situations we were having.
Her intention, I don't think it was to make me stop doing what they all do anyway.
I didn't keep her, that's the thing. She walked in freely, walked out.
That's the betrayal.
Yeah, this is over.
It's just time to go separate ways. You know, I lived and I learned those are the people that I grew up with. You know, those turn-up days are over anyway, so.
Sarah.
I think this whole situation was a perfect example of what my dad calls lack of two-step thinking.
Okay.
So we can already agree the intentions were not great. They were just maybe potentially rekindling a friendship, and that's not exactly the person you want leading your intervention, if that's what they wanted to call it. And also, what was your plan? If it went the way that the plaintiff at least claims she was intending it, was to get her friend help, say that the defendant broke down and cried and admitted to having a problem and really wanting help. Where was the help? There was no help.
That's true.
So I agreed with you that the plaintiff deserved any amount of damage that happened from having such a lack of a plan.
It was a lack of a plan. She lured her there.
Yeah, I mean, just a messed up situation all in all. And you really have to be coming from the right place to do something like that. And I think neither of them were even close to that sort of healthy place.
Neither the witness nor the plaintiff.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv. Calderon and Amante Nepomuceno for rent and the cost of 2 cats.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches Judge Judy.
Case 2170, Jolie versus Calderon Nepomuceno.
Thank you. Oh, my goodness.
Judy turns to Katie.
Calderon.
Hello.
What's your first name?
Amante.
Amante.
Yeah.
Good. It's much easier than your last name for me to pronounce. Mr. Jalil, this roughly is what the case is about. You and Miss Calderon were in a relationship for a period of time. You decided to take an apartment. You were both on the lease. So far, correct?
Correct.
Your arrangement with Miss Calderon, which seems to be consistent in both your complaint and your answer, is that you had a much better paying job. She was going to provide the food and some other stuff for the house, and you were going to be covering the rent when you lived together, which you did.
Correct.
There came a time when Armante, who was a friend of yours, came to live with you. According to you, he was going to help out with the rent.
Correct.
He came, he lived with you, he helped out with the rent for maybe a period of time, and then he helped himself to your girlfriend.
Correct.
Now they're a couple. When you were no longer a couple with Miss Calderon, she stayed in the apartment for a period of time, but then they both left.
Correct.
And you're suing both of them for rent and for the return of 2 cats that they took when they left. You claim the cats are yours.
That's correct.
That's what the case is about. And some cat expenses in the event that I let them keep the cat. Cats, 2 cats. So when did you and Miss Calderon sign a lease together?
We signed the lease together at the end of July with the landlord present.
July of 2022?
July of 2021. Correct.
And it was for a year?
Correct.
And you had a job working for whom, sir?
I worked for a company called Steris.
What do they do?
They provide medical equipment to hospitals all over the world.
How long have you been working for them?
I'm going to have 8 years under my belt this year.
And when you moved into the apartment in July of 2021, what kind of work was Miss Calderon doing?
At the time, she was working at I want to say an animal hotel.
It was a pet daycare boarding facility.
Okay. Were you an hourly employee?
I was an hourly employee.
And I am correct that when you moved in July, your arrangement was that you were going to pay the rent.
That was
the arrangement.
Correct.
When did Armante come to live with you?
About August to...
That's
right.
Correct.
Shh.
He
just...
Judy glares at Katie.
Amante was going to be our 3rd roommate.
You mean 1, 2, 3?
Correct.
Well, you're not roommates, really. You and the defendant, Miss Calderon, were not roommates. You shared a room.
We shared a room and
Armante was going to live where?
In another room.
And what was your arrangement with Armante with regard to paying rent?
We would split the rent 3 ways.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And how much was your share of the rent?
I would say approximately $927.
How long did you live there?
I was there when they signed the lease. I watched it all happen when they signed the lease. I came in, they signed everything.
Well, you didn't sign the lease.
I did not.
But you were there from the beginning?
Yes. And
it was your agreement with the plaintiff that you would pay 1/3 of the rent?
Yes.
Great.
We asked the landlord
Okay, so, hey, try not to hold each other's hands. Let's do the coochie someplace else. So you agreed with the plaintiff that despite the fact that you were not on the lease, you were going to assume the responsibility of 1/3 of the rent, $927.
Yes.
So you moved in July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. You left in April?
Yeah.
So you were there for 9 months?
Yes.
Did you pay rent for the 9 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
He paid rent for about the 7.5 months.
Okay. And then you left?
Yes.
Why did you leave?
I decided to leave because he decided to go to another place he was offered.
What do you mean he decided to go to another place that was...
got a place from his grandparents in another city. So I couldn't hold down the rent with her, so I decided to leave to save money and go back to my parents' house.
Now, Mr. Jalil, you see, you don't make up a story like that, like he just told me. A lot of that has the ring of truth to it. Where are you living now?
My grandparents' house in an in-law unit.
So when did you tell them that you were going to a different place?
In March.
When did you leave?
I left in July.
Did you let him know that you were staying until the end of the lease?
I
what?
I
your what?
I discussed with them that I would be leaving, but I would stick around to help them find either a different location or even suggesting that we all went back to our respected families just to, call it.
Mr. Jalil, this isn't working for you. I have to tell you something, sir. This case is not working for you at all. And it's only because Mr. Amante is very direct with me that you're suing them for $10,000. Where does that come from in your mind? Your agreement with her was you were going to pay the rent. You were never out of pocket. Your agreement was you were going to pay the rent. He paid his rent when he was there. He paid his 1/3. You then told them you were leaving. That's a whole different story than what you wrote in your complaint, Mr. Giulio. Do you understand?
Correct.
It's a whole different story. So, at best, Armante would owe you for 3 months' rent if they just left. But you told them that you were leaving. Now, when did you find out that they were a couple?
I found out at the end of April.
Were you all living together?
Yes.
So you just had 2 months left to the lease. So he was paying you, he paid you in March, you had May, June, you signed the lease in July, so it was over at the end of June, June 30th.
It would have been over at the end of July, Your Honor.
Well, she doesn't owe you any money for rent. At most, he owes you 2 months' rent. Tell me why you left.
My job doesn't pay that well, so I decided to go back to my parents' house.
When you took this apartment, this expensive apartment that was almost $3,000 a month rent, had you had a discussion with Armante about moving in with you before?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Jalil, I'm reading your complaint because something wasn't registering right with me. You say you moved into the apartment together in August of 2021. Then you go through a whole bunch of stuff about a cat and then another adopted cat. You said in October we adopted a second cat. Around this same time, a third roommate moved in to shoulder some of the rent. Well, that's not true. He moved in right at the beginning.
And that was...
That was what?
That was...
A mistake.
That was a mistake.
Okay. But Armante acknowledges that he agreed right at the beginning. He volunteered the fact that he was there at the lease signing because it was agreed at the lease signing that he was going to pay a third of the rent. So, sir, you owe him rent as long as you show me that you've paid the rent. You moved out in July?
Yes.
And you paid your rent through July, or were you evicted?
No, I paid my rent in July.
Through July?
Yes.
Okay. 1854. Armante, you owe him $1,854. That's for 2 months' rent. Got it? Okay. I'm not subtracting anything because you stole his girlfriend.
That's fair.
Caption, coming up.
What were you requesting when you filed your small claims case?
Either the return of both cats or $5,000.
That's not happening for you, Mr. Jalil.
And later today.
There were restrictions put on the space.
No.
You have to pay attention.
Okay.
Sir, because what I'm suggesting is really in your favor.
Oh, okay. Let me. Okay.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Kamar, Katie, and Amante.
Kamar Jalil claims his former roommates, Katie Calderon and Amante Nepomuceno, are wrongfully keeping his cats and owe him rent money.
Now let's deal with the issue with the cats. She doesn't owe you any rent. That was not your agreement with her. You moved out in July. August, September, October, November, December. 5 months ago, she's had both cats, right?
Correct.
She says they're her cats. When did you first file a small claims case?
September of 2022.
What were you requesting when you filed your small claims case? Be careful.
I was requesting either the return of both cats or $5,000, which was the accumulated expense of not just the cats, but also the expenses of her dogs as well. So any animal expenses for the time.
That's not happening for you, Mr. Jalil. When the cats were either registered or went to the vet, whose name is on the sheet as owner?
I believe it was Miss Calderon.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And she owns the cats, and she's had them for the last 5 months. I suggest that you go and adopt 2 more if you want some more cats. Do you understand?
Yes.
You were living together as a couple. However, your friend Armante has to pay you for the couple of months' rent that he didn't because he says, not you, he volunteered that that was your agreement from the very beginning. So he owes you $1,854. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I think he's just kind of butthurt that I moved on.
At least now I can put everything behind me and say that I did try.
I didn't think it would escalate this far.
All you can do in a situation like this is just you learn from it and you move on.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
This is what it is. It's life.
Judy.
I find fascinating, Sarah, that people will write and or be assisted in writing a complaint and an answer, but they read it over. This man is an intelligent man. He has a serious job for 8 years. First of all, he was suing for $10,000. Come up with that money. $5,000 for the cat's expenses, ridiculous. But his complaint had really nothing to, even the timeline.
As your clerk, I know that is a pet peeve of yours when
I don't understand.
they don't match up.
If you're going to tell a lie,
at least tell a consistent lie.
Right.
I think the right thing happened. I think the defendant friend admitted himself that he owed the rent, and that was great, even though he probably should have just kept his mouth shut.
Had not said I was there when the lease was signed. This was always our agreement.
Yeah.
I was going to be the
but
third.
He was honest, which we always appreciate, and so I think the right thing.
So
I think he needs to, like you say, put a period, move on.
Move on. Anyway, all happy, and they look happy. They couldn't keep their hands off each other.
Case number 2172, Foster Gardner versus Menzel. All parties, please come forward.
Jamar Foster and Sean Garner are suing record producer Livin Menzel for event costs after Livin canceled their Halloween party.
Who's Mr. Garner? Mr. Foster?
Right here.
Are you going to be speaking? You're standing in the speaking spot.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. According to what I read, the defendant rents a music studio. Is that correct?
I rent a facility in which I own a music studio.
You rent in someone else's building?
Yes.
And you're recording people. During the course of your business, you decided to enter into an agreement with the defendant to use that recording studio, which she rents from that space, which she rents from a landlord.
May I correct you, please, Your Honor?
Yes.
She actually is a facility that has multiple units in it. She runs a studio, and then there's other event space inside of that same facility.
Okay, give me an idea of how large the space is.
I believe we were quoted something like 5,800 square feet.
And so you have a music studio, and around it is other open space.
Yes.
You decided to go into some sort of a business with her. You wanted to run events.
Yes, ma'am.
Social events, nothing to do with the music studio.
Absolutely not.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And according to you, you gave her $6,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Sort of front money to start using that space.
Yes, ma'am.
Subsequent to giving her the money, according to you, there were restrictions put on the space, on the number of people you could have, the kind of parties you could have, et cetera.
No, absolutely. I apologize.
Well, you have to pay attention, sir, because what I'm suggesting is really in your favor.
Oh, okay. Let me. Okay.
So, is really in your favor, so you have to think.
Okay.
Subsequent to giving her, that means after giving her the money, restrictions were put on the kinds of events and the number of people you could have in the space. Is that true or not true?
That is absolutely true.
No, that's not.
I'll get to you in a second.
Okay.
And you want your $6,000 back.
Yes, ma'am. And
that's what it's about. The defendant does not deny that you gave her $6,000. And then I'm going to hear what her defense is. So I want you to tell me when, for the first time, did you have a discussion with the defendant about going into this business venture where you would front the money and whatever events you would have there, you would reap the benefit, the financial benefit from that. When did you have that discussion with her?
Okay, so we met Livin at the end of August of 2022. We actually signed the agreement pretty fast. We signed the contract agreement on September 1st.
May I see the agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
There was no agreement signed, so I don't know how it could be signed.
She keeps arguing that.
Just a second. Could you be quiet?
Yes, ma'am.
Jamar hands the document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
So in your hands.
Shh. What's?
That's the studio that she runs.
Sarah, you have to sort of explain it because I don't see signatures. You know, I'm used to looking at contracts where people sign things, but I know you can sign things by DocuSign now. Your signature isn't on here.
Yes, ma'am.
And
that looks like a signature from a DocuSign or some sort of online.
Okay. Is that you?
This was a proposal that I did. I do not even own it yet as a DBA.
Just a second. It's getting better. Don't say anything. This is your proposal. Now I'm going to read it.
Okay.
And your Masterpiece Management.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, so this is sort of easy. You prepared this proposal. Speak.
Yes, after.
Just a second. You prepared this proposal.
Yes, ma'am.
And as a result of this proposal, you received and deposited $6,000.
Yes.
Yes. Well, then you have a binding contract. Okay? So that's what I'm telling you. You have a binding contract. And there is nothing in this contract that limits the kinds of events or the number of people or anything else with regard to this space. All it says is business activities, event planning, and event rentals. Nothing else. And this is your proposal, so the terms of it are construed if there's any material question, since you prepared the agreement, which became a contract once you accepted their $6,000. I view the terms of the agreement most harshly against you because you prepared the document. And it says, this agreement cannot be amended without the written consent of all parties.
Yes.
Yes. So signed the agreement, you got the money, and then at some point, according to them and according to you, you made certain limitations on the kinds of events, the numbers of people, et cetera.
That is.
Now that happened according to you because you do not own that space, you rent that space, and there was a problem with the first party that they threw.
Correct.
Come on, we're not talking about Gone with the Wind here. We're not talking about a 6-volume masterpiece. We're talking about a yes or a no.
Caption, coming up.
Based upon this proposal, they gave you $6,000, which you deposited into your bank account. That means a contract was created. That's the agreement. I'm telling you, that's the law.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Jamar, Sean, and Livin.
Jamar Foster and Sean Garner claim record producer Livin Manziel broke their agreement by canceling their event. Livin is countersuing for the costs of a recording session.
Okay, there was a party that got out of hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and after that party that got out of hand, too many people or whatever it was, your landlord complained.
Yes.
Okay, and it was after that that you told your two partners that the...
We are not partners.
Yeah, according to this, you are.
We didn't finalize the agreement.
This is a finalized agreement, madam. I just said to you, I want you to pay attention. This is your proposal. Based upon this proposal, they gave you $6,000, which you deposited into your bank account. That means a contract was created. That's the agreement. I'm telling you, that's the law.
Okay.
You prepared the proposal, you signed it, they said, okay, and they fulfilled their part of the agreement by giving you $6,000, which you accepted. Got it? Got it? And you can't, according to the agreement that you prepared, modify this agreement any other way than a written contract signed by both parties. You can't change the rules. Did you know that this was rented space?
We didn't have all of the details about the place.
Well, see, next time you should know what you're dealing with, whether she's the owner or whether she's not the owner, whether she's a renter, whether she has the ability to rent out to sublease for events. I mean, all these things, before you give somebody $6,000, you should know that. Okay. And you had one event at the space?
No, we actually didn't get an opportunity to throw any events at the space at all. The event that you were speaking of, she had partnered with another group of promoters and individuals to throw that party. So you
didn't have anything to do with that? What was it, a Halloween party or something? It was a Halloween party, but that wasn't with you?
No, that wasn't.
Is that correct?
He was a part of the event.
Is that correct, that
No.
it was with other people?
Yes, it was correct. It was with other people. They were just associated with the event. They worked at the event. And
I don't care whether they worked at the event. You received money from other people for an event.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, let's be clear. And after that event, you imposed additional restrictions on the use of the space.
No, Your Honor.
Hold on a second.
They knew about the event.
Hold on. Can't tell me what they knew. This is your contract.
They called a fire marshal.
My landlord contacted me that the neighbors were complaining, people were parking on their lawns 90 minutes into the party, but it was not their party. Somebody else paid you for it. The next party they wanted to throw involved minors, and I told them absolutely not.
Yes, ma'am.
I just made it clear what types of events would be approved. Well, you can't do that. I'm just telling you, you can't do that.
Ma'am, I'm not allowed to throw events that have out drugs for children.
You have to understand something. You can do whatever you want as long as you put it in a contract. You prepared the contract. This contract is silent as to any restrictions on the space for events. So you have to give them their $6,000 back because they didn't have an event. They got nothing of value for their $6,000.
Correction. They were managing an artist whenever I met them that they were responsible for paying. So I'm countersuing them for $1,050.
Just a second.
Okay.
$6,000 they get back.
Okay.
Easy? That's a contract case. Now, you have a counterclaim, and your counterclaim is for $1,000 because you say they owe you that for a rental that they did for an artist that they manage.
I provided my services as a recording artist and a music producer for their artists. I provided them with 2 exclusive beats.
Well, show me the contract with them.
I have.
Just show me the contract with them.
There was no contract.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $6,000. Counterclaim dismissed. We're done. Thank you very
Court
much.
is adjourned.
I was just trying to have a proposal, not a finalized agreement.
Well, I appreciate us getting some type of justice out of the situation.
They came in wanting to do multiple things, and I was excited for my small business.
We tried as much as we could to help out and make sure that we increase the revenue streams inside of that business.
They're actually going to be hosting hookahs with children at your event in your space. I'm not comfortable with that.
To ever associate us with any type of drug use or abuse, especially involving children, that was just an inaccurate claim.
I think it's better just to part ways.
Move over to bigger and better things.
Sarah.
I was going to tell you I had the invitation, per se, for the event for Halloween that they had put together. So they put a lot of time and effort into planning the party. It seemed very legitimate. There was notes about security. There was notes about no alcohol, food and drink will be provided. So I could tell that they had put in a lot of effort to hosting this event. And although it wasn't a malicious breach on the defendant's part, I understand she hosted a party that had nothing to do with the plaintiffs, that she got into a little bit of hot water. So to be cautious, she was letting them know, hey, I can't host these types of events with a lot of people. It makes the street too crowded.